Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Around the Indoor Football World, where, as always, we discuss the major indoor football leagues, whether that's the TAL, the AF1, the NAL, the IFL, and the AAL. Man, there's so many leagues at this point. I have to refresh my memory as I'm saying them out loud. But we got a lot to talk about today, including confirmed expansion for the IFL. We've got some more complications for the schedule for the AAL and the Wheeling Miners due to some playoff games for their next door neighbor, their roommate, however you want to phrase that. And then you also have the kickoff of the TAL season, as well as many more things that we'll get to today. Lots of transaction news out of the NAL as well. So before we get into it, as always, we start you guys off with a little bit of metal. All right, once again, that's Docmus from Ashes to Steel. Really enjoy that band, so check them out on YouTube. Actually, they gave us permission to use that song, so that's always super cool. But also, let's get Cody on here now that he's joining us. How's it going, Cody? Appreciate you joining.
I'm so fucking tired.
Before we get into it, let's go ahead and go around the horn. I mean, how's everybody doing? TJ, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Certainly can't complain. Krish, how are you doing this morning?
Doing well, excited for the game tonight. Great opportunity to go 6-3 and get close to that playoff spot. So excited for it, for sure.
Absolutely. Cody, other than tired, how are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing all right. I didn't realize I was dropped in a 2004 music video with the way that Krish is dressed.
Yeah, well, we'll bust out the music video a little bit later. I'm sure there's plenty to discuss today. But very excited to kick this show off with the TAL this morning. As everybody knows who's listening in or watching, the St. Joe Goats and the Arkansas Diamonds, I still want to call them the Wise Guys. The Arkansas Diamonds kicked off the season last night. Great game. The Goats look really good last night, so we'll get into that in a couple minutes here. But we also will be joined by the Iowa Woo GM, Mr. Bob Bruce. This man is incredible. He's a cancer survivor. He's kind of a radio station guru. He goes in and fixes all these radio stations that need some assistance and getting back into, I guess the efficient way of operation. And then also, as mentioned, he is now the general manager for the Iowa Woo. So we are very excited to have Mr. Bob Bruce join us on the line. He will be joining via audio, so if you do not see him, that is why. Mr. Bruce, can you hear us okay this morning?
I can. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Hey, the pleasure's all ours. Thank you for making the time. I know you got a very busy schedule given, everything I just listed out there, but I just wanted to really thank you for joining us this morning, and we're very excited to hear more about the Woo season coming up.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thanks.
Of course. So I kind of want to just start off and have you kind of give a little bit of an introduction into your background, how you ended up with the Iowa Woo, and how we find ourselves here today and so far in your career.
Well, I'll give you the very, very, very abbreviated version of my career because the full story would take time that you and I don't have and would bore everybody to tears. But I am a radio guy. I've spent the last 5 decades on air and managing radio stations town to town, up and down the dial. As people old enough to remember WKRP and their theme song, remember, I've been everywhere, including Colorado Springs. As the radio business sort of became a shell of what it was when I started in the mid 80s, I started looking around for other things to occupy my time. And my love affair with minor league sports began when I was in college at the University of Wisconsin lacrosse. My freshman year, 1985, was the year that the Louisville Cardinals Continental Basketball Association team moved to lacrosse, and the Catbirds were incredibly successful in lacrosse, filled the lacrosse center in downtown lacrosse for almost every home game. It just was a remarkable team run exactly like an NBA organization. We had Flip Saunders as our head coach. Ron Miniger, who was became a GM for the Timberwolves when they were founded, was on that staff as well as the GM. So that was sort of my background, my introduction to minor league sports. I've always kind of been around it. When I was doing sports talk in Omaha in 2001, 2002, and 03, I did play-by-play for the then new Omaha Beef indoor football team. That was my introduction to indoor football or arena football, and I fell in love with it, as anybody that's ever seen it knows. It's an incredible sport. So anyway, so did that for years and years and years. Last Christmas, my parents, who are elderly, my mother has her own battle with cancer, and so I moved back to help take care of them, and was just looking for something to do. I think you guys are probably familiar with Tommy Benizio. I had known of him and communicated with him for the last several years, and we had always tried to make something work. And the Woo had an opening, needed some help, and I needed something to do. So here I am, and that's the shorter version of a very long story.
I love it. I actually was not aware that you were involved with the Omaha Beef, and we are huge supporters of the beef here on this show. So that's very interesting. And TJ's actually wearing a beef shirt right now, which it should not come as a surprise to anybody who's watching the show. But speaking of which, TJ, do you have any questions for Mr. Bruce?
Yeah, with how long you've been in the game, what excites you most about the upcoming season with the Iowa Woo? Because the Arena League is a little bit different compared to every other league that's out there right now.
So what I really appreciate about this league, guys, is that within the business side of it, we have a phrase that we use frequently called finances over football. You guys have been around minor league sports forever, as have I, and the number of teams that have come and go in all different leagues and all different sports in my almost 60 years now is just astounding. And it's largely because the economic model is difficult to sustain, even for those that have a large amount of money. They didn't get to having a large amount of money by losing money frequently. So we try and keep our expenses as low as possible. Every move that the Arena League has made has been because of that mantra, finances over football. And that's not to say football is not important to us. Of course it is. And the coaches, obviously, and the players care very much about the football end of things. But if we don't keep our finances in order, we're not going to be around very long. So that's what intrigued me the most about this league, is the realization and the understanding that we've got things we would love to do. Everybody loves to fly. Everybody loves to go across the country and have a bazillion teams in a lot of geographic locations, but that costs a lot of money. And every one of these leagues brings in about the same amount of revenue. So what you can control are your expenses.
I love that. I love that. Very, very conscious, obviously, of the world that you guys are entering, obviously. So really like to hear that from a franchise. We hate to see these teams come and go, and that's something that I've loved about the TAL. They seem to have the business model side of things really down pat. But Cody, do you have any questions for Mr. Bruce?
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Bruce. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
I think it's only fitting how you're a huge fan of the radio and you're calling audio only with no video. So I think that's very fitting for the interview.
Well, I've got a 90-minute commute, and if I had my camera on, all you'd see are probably my feet on the accelerator.
I appreciate the time, though, but that does kind of lead me into the question that I do want to ask. When it comes to a radio broadcast, is that something that you are wanting to incorporate with the TAL and the teams involved? Something along, like, not obviously like a Westwood One when you listen to like NFL games on the radio or anything like that, but the local radio stations within the certain cities or communities. Is there anything or any talk that the TAL has done when it comes to trying to get games broadcasted over the radio?
Well, as a radio guy, the obvious answer for me is, of course, I would love that. I would love to have some sort of a broadcasting package available, but that's not the world we live in. I'm well aware that 2026, circa 2026, terrestrial radio has had a tough time for the last however many years. Believe me, I've been there. I've been at ground zero. I've been fighting it. But it is what it is. We do have a streamcast, a league-wide YouTube broadcast that begins tonight across the league with all of our regular season opening games. And we have a local broadcast that we have set up with a radio station just outside of Cedar Falls, Iowa, where we are in Parkersburg, Iowa. So we have a local terrestrial radio broadcast and a league-wide stream of all of the games on YouTube.
So I want to back up a little bit. Obviously, you mentioned you guys have kind of dabbled in the radio thing a little bit, but we kind of glossed over it real quick. I mean, you came into contact with Tommy Benizio at some point, and then you ended up, kind of working together and ending up in the Iowa Woo GM position. Obviously, the Woo have been around for a couple years. So how did it come about now rather than, a couple years ago when the Woo were initially launched?
Well, because I wasn't ready to give up on my radio career. I mean, that's literally, guys, that's all I've done, and that's what I know. There are people far smarter than I am when it comes to radio, but I've had some success, and so whether it's consulting or being on air myself, that's my background. Tommy and I started talking probably close to 5 years ago, just about, hey, what could I do perhaps in conjunction with radio? And then life circumstances dictated that I moved back to my hometown for the first time in 40 years. And I had some time. And so here we are. He put me in touch with our co-owners, Jeff Holmes, who also owns the league operations, as well as the teams in Eau Claire and Memphis and Monroe, co-owns the Iowa Woo with Julia Stone, and so Tommy put me in touch with them, and here we are.
Love it. Obviously, didn't mention it before, but we're big fans of Tommy Benizio as well. He does great things in the indoor and arena football industry as well as hockey as well. So big in the minor league sports world. So we love to support him as well. But TJ, do you have any more questions for Mr. Bruce?
What, if any, things have you done differently going into this season as opposed to the Iowa Woo doing in previous years to really propel yourselves into a championship bid for this year?
Well, I can't really answer that because I've only been with the organization for a couple of months now, and I wasn't around for their first 2 seasons. The biggest change is the change of our home venue. The first 2 years were in aging, and by aging I mean almost 100-year-old.
Sounds like we're having a little bit of audio issues. We'll see if we can't get Mr. Bruce back here in a moment. I'm sure it's just service related. As he mentioned, he is driving 90 minutes. I'm sure he's driving through some bad service areas at points in time. So bear with us here. We'll see if we can't get him back on in a moment. Mr. Bruce, can you still hear us? All right, we'll can work on that. But as mentioned before, the Iowa Woo will be kicking their season off tonight in a new venue, as mentioned before. So definitely will be interesting to see exactly what they can put together tonight for that game against the Monroe Greenheads. Very, very excited to see that game because the Greenheads will be kicking off their season for the first time. So I'm very intrigued to see the roster that Shiver and Bowden there have assembled. So we'll see if we can get Mr. Bruce back on and continue with the interview. Mr. Bruce, can you hear us now?
I'm here, guys. If you can hear me, hello.
Perfect. Yeah, we can hear you fine. So you were saying there's a new venue this season?
Okay. Well, I've got you.
Can you hear me okay?
All right, guys, I can't tell if I'm on the Unidome this year, which is the I didn't know there was such bad cell phone reception out here. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, we can. You're good. You were saying about the Unidome?
Okay.
Dang. All right. Sounds like we're having
All right.
too many service issues.
In Iowa, we've moved.
Sorry.
All right.
Sorry about that, Mr. Bruce. If you don't mind, if you could maybe call in a little bit later, we can get you back on the line. It sounds like we're just having too much interference at the moment.
All right. You're clear on my end. If you've got me, I can pull over and just talk from here. Do you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. That's great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let me just pull over and stay here since it's a decent enough cell phone. So anyway, I'll try again. We're playing in the Unidome, which is the home venue for the University of Northern Iowa Panthers, an FCS program that plays in the Missouri Valley. We're not using the entire dome. That's about a 12,000 seat dome. We're using just a part of it, which is very much, well, is exactly what Tommy did with his team in when they played in the Dallas Cowboys practice facility. So that's the biggest difference for us this year, is a new home venue. Far more comfortable, actually has air conditioning, which the fans have told us they appreciate. So we're kicking it off tonight for real after an exhibition game last Friday against the Twin Cities Tundra. We start up tonight against the expansion Monroe Greenheads, and we have Red Panda performing at halftime.
Very nice, very nice. So, out of curiosity, when it came to the venue change, did you have anything to do with the move to the new venue?
I did, and I'm still sore from it. Everything was stored at the Hippodrome, so we had to pack it up. We also opened a team store and office in the mall at College Square in Cedar Falls, Iowa. So we moved everything from the Hippodrome to the team store, and then from the team store into the Unidome. The Hippodrome, they could be in full time. They were the only tenant, so they just left everything there. At the Unidome, we have to go in and out after most home games. So yes, there's a tremendous amount of packing and carrying, and it's hard on my 60-year-old body, guys.
I can imagine. Turf is not light. Cody, Red
No.
Panda, the legend. So you're a fan of their upcoming home or halftime show?
I mean, yeah, she's been all over the place, man. She gets on her little unicycle, throws the plates up from her feet and from her arms and things. Like, of course, I'm nodding along to that. You got Red Panda. She goes all over to different colleges and basketball games, football games, and you hate to see her miss, but every time she throws one of those bowls up onto another bowl, you're waiting for the next one. It's actually really cool to watch. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, we're looking forward to her performance. Interestingly enough, last year she was scheduled to perform at a Woo game. The game before, she was performing at an Indiana Fever game. Caitlin Clark stars for the Fever, and she's an Iowa legend. That was the game where Red Panda apparently fell off her unicycle and broke her arm, so had to cancel on the Woo for her following engagement. So this is her first appearance with us, and we're looking forward to it.
There you go. A little bit of behind the scenes during the interview as well. Cody, do you have any more questions for Mr. Bruce?
No, I'm all good on my end.
TJ? Awesome. Well, Mr. Bruce, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and appreciate you, taking time out of your commute. We definitely don't want to hold you up too much longer, but I wanted to ask, I mean, I know the TAL is very big on entertainment, and I know theme nights are kind of a thing that it seems most teams do in the arena and indoor football world. So I was curious, do you have any interesting theme nights that the fans can look forward to coming up?
With this move, with the change of the venue, and it came about very suddenly, we really got kind of behind the eight ball. So we're just sticking with what we know. What probably our biggest theme night, we're not home until after the 4th of July. We're home on July 13th, and that is going to be our official celebration to this country. This country's 250th birthday will be the home game against the Eau Claire Axemen on July 13th. So that's probably, and we also have our final game of the year. We have an America's Got Talent act booked, and you're going to ask me his name, and I'm going to have to say I don't know it off the top of my head.
Oh, that's okay. No worries. I honestly would be the last person that would know anybody from that show, so I won't hold you to the name for sure. But Mr. Bruce, thank you so much for joining us today. I mean, honestly, your story, just kind of learning a little bit about you before in the lead up to this show is amazing. I mean, like I mentioned in the lead up, cancer survivor, radio station guru, and then on top of that, you're running a professional football team in your spare time as well. So really, really appreciate what you're doing for the Woo, and very excited to see what you guys are able to do this season.
Appreciate the time, guys. Have a great Saturday.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining us, and sorry about holding up your drive.
You're fine. Thank you.
Have a great one. All right. On that note, hopefully we can get Krish and Cody back on, and we'll talk about the games coming up. Obviously, they are not the only game tonight, as the rest of the league is kicking off, and we can review the game from last night. So we'll go ahead and get into the game from last night first before we give our predictions for the rest of the games this week. And Krish had some strong feelings about some actions late in the game last night by the Arkansas Diamonds. So I'll let him kind of kick off the review of this game, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, obviously it started early on, right? The Ghosts came out. They were dominant defensively. They shut Arkansas down, 0 points in the second half. The center for Arkansas was awful. So, that would be Bones' excuse, right? They didn't have a center. That's why we lost by 27. There's no excuse to lose at home by 27 points. I don't care who you're playing. That's completely unacceptable. So I've known Bones since he played for us and he coached for us, and he's been part of, he was part of the program for a while, right? And he's still a Pirate. Like, I have a lot of respect for Bones Bagante and the type of person he is. So my problem with it is him, they're down by 25 points, right? And there's 48 seconds left and 3 timeouts, and they have a 4th and 1. He just walks off the field. He doesn't even try to run a 4th down play. Like, that's embarrassing. He knows better than that. You play through. Like, I don't care what the score is. I'm one of those people where I don't care if it's, 50-0 or 25-25. Like, you play hard. You play the same way. So that's in my opinion. And I think Bones, he knows better than that, and he's bigger than that. And he's been through a lot worse than losing a football game. So he should, understand that, as a leader, you gotta play the way through. You set the tone.
It's fair point. Actually, very calmly worded. I was expecting to have to hit the button at some point during that. I'm not gonna lie. So
they'll be fine. I mean, they got a great team. They got so much talent down there. He'll buy a center from somewhere. So he'll be fine.
I will say I think that really, really hurt them last night. There was a multitude of bad snaps.
Also, TJ made a great observation last night about Ambrose. Like, I'm sure he's a great person, right? Like, he's been there for a while, but I don't know if he really fits the style of play. Like, he can't really run. He's more of a pocket style passer. It's, he looks a little off, in some cases.
Yeah, I actually would disagree on that front. I think that he is a TAL quarterback. I think last night the big problem was accuracy and ball placement. There were several balls that were way too high for receivers. Or he would throw it and, it would float on him a little bit and the defender would get underneath it before the receiver and stuff like that. But I think he can play in this style. I just don't know that he's the guy to maximize that talent, a wide receiver for the Diamonds, because obviously they got Aaron Dilworth, Isaac Zico, and others there. So TJ, what were your thoughts on the game last night? I know you mentioned some thoughts about Ambrose. You can get into those if you would like, and then we can move on.
Yeah, man. I mean, early on, it was really a defensive battle. Both teams were mashing each other. As the game wore on, it just felt like the Goats, the Goats did what the better team on that night does, and that's adjust and wear the other team down. And that's what they were able to do, especially offensively as the game moved on. They were able to start to get some points up on the board, get the yards, move the ball down the field. You know, for me, I don't think Ambrose is a bad TAL quarterback by any means. I actually think he does have a little bit of mobility. You know, you saw him scramble, pick up a couple of yards last night throughout the game and everything else. For me, it was accuracy. You know, there was a sequence where I believe the Goats even got penalized, so they almost got the goal to go basically reset. And there was like 3 or 4 straight passes where Ambrose is just like out of bounds, out of bounds, out of bounds, out of bounds. And it's like, especially on fourth down, man, listen, even if it's picked off, it's fourth down, brother. Like, throw it in the end zone and give the guy a chance. Don't just throw it out of bounds. You know, so accuracy for me was the biggest thing. You know, I think you nailed it when you said, you know, it seemed like he floated some of his passes. You know, it's just like he was just having a rough night. Now, obviously, you know, the center doesn't help. You know, when you're already concerned about if I'm even going to get the ball from the center, it's kind of hard to focus on how the play develops for the first couple seconds. But so I want to see how they do as you know, over the next game or two to see. I don't think what we saw last night was completely, you know, how Ambrose is going to be all season long. But yeah, as of last night, that was a rough start for both him and the Arkansas Diamonds. Anytime you get shut out in a half in any type of arena or indoor football, you got a lot to work on offense.
And I want to add one thing too. You know, Bones, he's a very aggressive play caller. You know, he runs a West Coast style offense, so he likes to throw the ball every down. And he's a 10 to 12 yard route guy. He never calls a hitch. I've never seen Bones ever call a hitch or a slant. Like, you know, he needs to start incorporating that more in the offense. You know, kind of getting Ambrose those quick plays. You know, to get the team going. So.
It's not a bad point. I mean, there were a lot of moments where Ambrose, you know, was scrambling around, waiting for receivers to get open as well. So, Cody, did you get a chance to watch the game last night?
I watched bits and pieces of it when I got the opportunity to, and it looks like St. Joe. I mean, it was a close game up until the fourth quarter, and then St. Joe just kind of pulled away at the end. So, yeah, I don't know what kind of happened, whether it was just Arkansas. And again, it's the first game of the year, so there's going to be, you know, hiccups and things like that. But it's to that credit of, like, is this St. Joe being good? Is it Arkansas not? I mean, to Krish's credit, them just not playing through the whistle. Whatever it could be, it's just like I said, it's the first game. There's still a lot to learn from it. But you know, so you were down by 6 to start the fourth quarter, and you lost 40-14. So there's definitely some things that you need to learn, especially on both sides. I mean, just because you won 40-14 doesn't mean that St. Joe doesn't have issues that they need to work on as well. So overall, I mean, what was a close game ended up being a blowout.
Agreed. And actually, I'm kind of hoping Coach Golston is watching right now, although he probably is not because that was a late finish. But I was curious what happened with quarterback there for the Goats. So I forget the gentleman's name at this point, but there was a quarterback that they had signed. I want to say he played at Georgia Tech at some point or something like that. And he...
Yeah, James Graham, I believe is his name.
Thank you. That was the name. And I didn't see him play last night. And actually, I know they signed Gio Sanders recently. I didn't see him last night either. And they were playing with Trujillo, who was, I believe, a defensive back initially before he played some quarterback last year, if I'm not mistaken about all that. So I was curious why that happened. And to Cody's credit, the first half did not look very good on the offense for the Goats, but you know, something changed in the second half. Their defense really kind of poured it on and prevented Arkansas from getting back in it. But great game by the Goats overall, and I think they kind of opened some eyes because obviously Arkansas was in the championship game last year, and the other team that was in the championship game is no longer in the league. So definitely looks like the Goats have a good opportunity to potentially come out of the first week of the season as the favorites moving forward. So a couple games tonight, as mentioned, you know, obviously the Iowa Woo, as we mentioned, will be taking on the Monroe Greenheads. We also have the Eau Claire Axemen versus Ozark Lunkers, and the Memphis Hound Dogs take on the Nebraska Siege. Just to be clear, Ozarks, Iowa, and Nebraska are your home teams. Let me pull up the schedule for you guys. But Krish, why don't you go ahead and start off the picks for us?
Yeah, I mean, Memphis, they decided to go with a more local, foreign roster. And unfortunately, like I've seen that story play out so many times. You try to be nice and sign a bunch of semi-pro guys and you want to be the dream team. Like that's just going to get you killed. So I think Nebraska is going to win this game by 20 points, to be honest. I think it's going to be a blowout. I hope Memphis can stay in it, but I just don't see it. Eau Claire and Ozarks, I mean, look, I'm trying to put into words what I think here about this Eau Claire team. They had such a bad season last year, and they had way more talent than they have this year. That's just reality. They had McSweeney, Joel Shaw, they had guys on that team. Now I don't see any of that. Yeah, they have a good player too, like Matthew Luhr. He was a great receiver in the LFA, right? Like they got guys, but they don't got enough guys. Richie Murphy comes back, whatever. I think that's great for the fan base to get him back. He's local, he lives there. But I don't think Ozarks is great either. I think Ozarks is one of the most overrated teams. We sit here and talk about Ozarks like they're bang good. What has Cam won in this league? Nothing. I'm just being honest. Right? Or what did he won in high school football either? Nothing. Right? He's 15 and 47, I think? No, 11 and 49, I believe. It's his high school football record. So this is a big year for him, make or break. Because if they don't win a championship this year, he's getting fired. I promise you. So give me Ozarks by 15. They're going to win this game by 15 points. Monroe and Iowa. So Monroe signed a quarterback I'm super excited about, Timmy McClain from University of Central Florida, Arkansas State. This guy's been around the block. He never had consistent starting experience in college football, but he's really good. Like he's a really good mobile quarterback who can move the pocket around. And that's what you need in the arena league style of play. I think he's going to do great. I think Timmy McClain might win Rookie of the Year, honestly. They got some great other guys too. Quindarius Smith from Akron University. He's the all-time leading reception leader there. They got Eric McIntosh from the old AFL. Then they got Trey Mangano. Like they got a lot of good guys there. They put together this roster very well. Monroe will stay competitive. I think Monroe can win this. I'm picking Monroe. So give me Monroe by 5 points to win this game.
Fair point. TJ, any picks?
Well, obviously, I have an inside track on the Axemen, so I'm obviously picking them to win. I like what they have cooking there. I like the new culture that they have. They're doing a lot of new things, especially community minded, and I think it's going to translate onto the field. So I'm going to go with the Axemen in that one. For the other two games, honestly, I see them being closer matchups, but I think I'm gonna take the minor cop out and just pick the Woo and Siege as the home teams, just because in theory the home teams, should have that little bit of an extra boost. And I'm just going to go with that for now because it's early week 1. So I want to see how things play out this weekend and maybe even next weekend too before you really start to see the teams separate in terms of talent and expectation.
Makes sense. Cody?
Yeah, so for the first one, go ahead and give me Ozarks. Anything that we've heard from Eau Claire, like kind of lack thereof, I'm just a little timid on picking them when it comes to it. So Ozarks being, and I get they're both established franchises, but I don't know, Ozarks just seems a little bit more stable right now. So just go ahead and give me that. Monroe and Iowa, give me Iowa with a slight edge, and the reason why is it's not that I don't think Monroe can't pull this upset, if you want to call it that, but brand new expansion franchise. Yes, you've got a good set of players, good coaches and stuff coming in, but is it all enough with kind of that late start that we've seen? Yes, they've brought in all the players. However, I think Iowa moving into a new arena, they want to get the fans out there. It's something that they can get, rallied behind. I think Iowa pulls it out just skin of their teeth. And then for the final one, Memphis and Nebraska, these are two expansion franchises in and of themselves. I'm not a Danger fan anymore because they don't exist, but there is still a team in Grand Island, so give me the Siege when it comes to that. So I will put my weight behind that team as the Siege get the victory. I have no frame of reference on either of them, but you put a team in Nebraska, and 9 times out of 10, I will root for them. Sorry, Omaha Beef.
Day one, Nebraska Siege fan, Cody.
There we go.
Love it. So, yeah, I think first of all, these lineup games are going to be great. Krish, I think you're sleeping on Memphis a little bit. Maybe you didn't look at the roster that we received, but there are some big name colleges on that list, and I think that the notion that they signed a bunch of semi-pro guys is maybe a little false. But
I mean, you can walk on, right? Like, you don't have to play.
Sam, you have to remember his frame of reference is SEC defense, so anything that is group of 6 is already semi-pro.
So just out of curiosity, they signed 24 walk-ons at schools like Memphis, Alcorn State, Ole Miss, Mississippi Valley State, Louisiana Tech, Arkansas State, Tennessee State, Memphis again, UNLV, UT Martin. I don't know, man. I feel like that could end up being a pretty solid roster. That's not
Georgia. That's not Alabama. That's not
my friend. No, but honestly, that's not what I think. I think there's good players that come from every school. But my thing is, Nebraska, they got a great team. They got 2 great running backs with Keon Mosey down there and Ken Davis. And at the quarterback position, I still am kind of, skeptical with that. But they'll be a good team, man. I just think Nebraska is a different level.
Yeah, I won't disagree about that. I've been very adamant that I think Nebraska is going to be a great team this year.
I want Memphis to be good, by the way. Like, I love James Fisher and what he's building down there. Like, I'm a huge fan of him. We had him on the show, but I mean, nice guys don't win football games. So
right, but I don't know. I like I said, I just don't think talent's going to be an issue with them. But
I like this comment from Coach D too in the chat. Just because someone is good in the community, that will make them good on the field. I mean, that's the point, right?
Yeah, because if that was true, Orlando would be the best team ever. Just kidding, guys. It's the jokes. All right, I'll stop. But I think I'm going to pick Nebraska in this game. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I do want to answer Coach Davis's. No, I'm not saying that. That was just since we have the show. It was kind of a shameless plug at how much their culture's changed. I know for a fact, while it's great to be in the community, that means absolutely zero talent and execution on the field, just to clear that up.
I love Brian. Everything Louisiana, Brian's going to talk about. Kiffin and O Connection coming at you this year. Watch out, freshmen. You guys are not safe there. So anyway, Nebraska, I'm picking in that game. I think they're going to go ahead and take the home win here over Memphis. I think it's going to be a really, really good game. I think Monroe might beat Iowa. The one concern I have there is obviously, as we know, their roster was kind of assembled very quickly. So I'm curious to see the kind of chemistry they've got in the whole team. Moving over to the Lunkers game, I actually think the Lunkers are going to end up winning this one. I don't know what we're going to see from Eau Claire yet. So I hope they're pretty solid this year. It would be good content for the show, obviously, but definitely just not necessarily 100% sold on what they've got yet on paper, but wouldn't be the first time that a team on paper was a lot worse than what they ended up being on the field. So we'll see how things go. But we're going to hit a quick...
I will say one thing, and this is something Jawad preaches all the time too, like, we don't compete for paper championships, and honestly, like, and that's just true, right? Like, you can sign all the best players in the world, but they still have to understand the little details and put that all together and make a championship team, so.
That is true.
The biggest thing is, does your banner exist in the airport? That's what matters.
Yeah, we won one, so.
All right, so Quill McCain checking in, the host of all of our AAL and AAL2 content. We're going to hit a quick.
I can't wait to talk about this whole Wheeling situation.
That's next. So Krish is very good at the foreshadowing here. We're going to be talking about AAL next. We're going to hit a quick commercial break, not a very long one. We'll be right back, talk about some AAL, and it seems only fitting that we play this commercial. All right. So as mentioned in the lead up to the show, the Wheeling Miners are being put behind quite the 8 ball over the past 30 weeks due to the success of the Wheeling Nailers. As we all know, indoor football is incredibly exciting. It's incredibly fun to watch, but it's just not at the heights that it once was. Back in the early 2000s, where football probably takes priority over some of these other leagues. We are just not in that time period anymore. So right now, hockey takes priority over a lot of indoor football teams in their arena. In fact, I'm blanking his name right at the moment, but there was a fan who watches the show quite regularly that commented on the post that I put about the Wheeling situation that mentioned, part of the reason why hockey takes priority is the amount of games, right? When you're a venue, you have to look at the tenants and what they provide to you. Hockey has way more games home-wise than football does, so that's going to be a lot more valuable tenant over the long run. So that's why they hold a little bit of an advantage over a football team. However, the football team signed a lease. It has not been honored. Several dates have had to been moved, canceled, and everything else. So last night, heading into Game 4, the Wheeling Nailers were down 0-3. If they lost last night's game, they were eliminated from the playoffs. However, it was a home game, and they have won, which means tonight's game, which was supposed to be for the Wheeling Miners and the Jersey Bearcats, will have to be rescheduled. So with that being said, the Wheeling Nailers will be playing at home tonight in Game 5. If they win, they will continue in their series, which could create further issues down the line. If they lose, this clears up the rest of the situation for the rest of the season. They're eliminated from the playoffs, and then the Miners will no longer have this issue. So, Krish, you said it a moment ago. You're really excited. You're really anticipating talking about this because obviously this is a tough situation for any team to be through or to go through, especially because you want to root for the Nailers, right? That's your neighbor. That's the other team in the market. You want to have that cohesion with them. But at the same time, when it's negatively impacting your team, how do you go about that situation? I mean, what would you do if you were a team owner, Krish?
I mean, I doubt Chris Duffy can hit one play on the Wheeling Nailers, to be honest. So he probably he's hoping they lose in the back of the mind. I mean, I would be too, honestly. I don't blame him. But for me, man, it's disappointing. I mean, you lost their best player to Albany. Dante Mason goes to Albany. Now you have this. You haven't played in 2 weeks. It's one of those things where, how do you rebound? This is the second, and I feel bad for the guys who have been on that team since last year. They went 23 days without playing football. I mean, TJ, you remember that whole, nightmare bus trip they had to Colorado, and then the team folded, and now they're on a bye week for 23 days. Guys like AC, Isaiah Robinson, all these, guys who have been there, they really got it out the mud. To stay there. They could have left easily. They could have had other opportunities, but they decided to stay. And so I don't know, man. I hope they can figure it out because if Wheeling plays Jersey now, this time, it'll be a blowout. Not a blowout, but it'll be we all try, or you guys try to make it seem like the Bearcat team is amazing and they're so good and all this stuff. Maybe you. I don't know. I mean, you guys were telling me the league was going to be competitive, and I told you it wouldn't. I told you Columbus would wreck all these boys, and they are still going to do that. But I mean, Jersey, Mateo Rodriguez, you think about leaving. Todd Simmons already left 2 days ago, so now you have players leaving, and it's like, what's going on? And so, AJ Roque, he has to go to his semi-pro database and try to find new players, and it's difficult, right? It's a difficult thing, but I mean, Wheeling, they just signed a week ago, they signed Deshaun Johnson. Deshaun Johnson played for us on the O-line in 2018. He was the best lineman on our team, right? So he's playing for Wheeling. So, he's going to dominate the league. So, I'm just saying, that's the level of talent I know Deshaun has. He's local there. He's friends with AC. Wheeling will be fine. They just need to figure out when to play the game.
In Todd Simmons' defense, he is on his 9th team he has to play for, so he's got to travel a lot.
No, I think Todd Simmons might retire, from what I understand, but I don't know. Honestly, I stopped keeping up with him. He's too hard to follow. But, man, I think Wheeling will be fine. I think AJ Roque needs to spend as much time in the film room to try to get his boys right, because he should be thankful for this extra time. He can hear the sound of that belt, so he's trying to. What
exactly does that mean? You mean just in the game, or
I think the Bearcats are a good team. I just think that they're not ready for this level of play. That's it.
I don't know that that's necessarily the case. I think that different teams have different resources, and we're seeing that play out in real time. And it's unfortunate, but
my issue is that you chose to be a pro. You chose to join this league. You chose to be part of the inaugural 4 teams in this American Arena League, right? You made that choice. So now you have to up your standard a little bit. That's just me.
I get your point. But we could make the same point about Oregon.
Oh, yeah, I don't think I see your bullshit comment, Coach D. I see that.
We'll comment on that in a minute. But like I said, it's no different than a team like Oregon playing in the same league as Albany. There's let's be honest. Does Oregon really think they can ever beat Albany? Ever? It just there's, as Krish would say, there's levels to this shit, and Albany and it is the class of the AF1, much like I think Columbus currently is the class of the AAL, and everybody's playing a little bit of catch up. But you're right. I have been on the Jersey train all year, still on it, going to remain here because I'm not going to jump off just because they lost some games. I said they were going to be a better team.
I said this before, and I've been crucified for it. You can't be a commissioner in one league and be a head coach. That just doesn't work. So you pick one or the other. But that's the era I come from. So I don't know.
I actually disagree with that. But anyway, TJ, do you have any thoughts on the Wheeling situation?
First off, Sam, hey man, don't pick on Frisch like that. It's not like he picks teams and then when times get rough, jumps the bandwagon or anything. So,
clearly, because he's been a Falcons fan since day one.
Yeah, he was an Omaha Bee fan for 3.5 minutes too. Listen, I've dealt with this firsthand experience, back with the Steelhawks, a similar situation. The Phantoms, Lehigh Valley Phantoms, made the playoffs in the AHL, and back-to-back Saturday night home games became Sunday night home games. Now, luckily for us, we were able to reschedule to the very next night. Fans still came out, everything else, but it was still annoying. It's still hard. And yeah, you want to say, well, it's a fellow community team, you want them to do well too. But at the same time, it's kind of like, man, why in the arena world are we getting, shoved around? Well, it's because, most of the hockey teams are a direct affiliate. Like you said, to your credit, the venue has to look at it and say, what is essentially the more profitable partner? And is it the team that plays, 30, 40 something games in the venue, or the team that plays 5 to 6? So unfortunately, it's going to happen. For this specific scenario, it's just really bad for Wheeling, because they want to play. It's not like they're like, oh, yay, we get to cancel a game. They want to play. They want to stay in just game mode, season shape, that kind of thing. They don't want to have, a 2-3 week bye week situation, but unfortunately it is what it is. Hopefully in the future they can figure it out. Um, if I recall correctly, though, even if the Nailers win tonight, though, obviously they play some games during the week, so this should be, unless they come back and win the entire series, this should be the last weekend this happens, right?
If they win the series, they go to the Kelly Cup finals, and then we'll might have to do it all over again because I'll have the 7-game series on whoever's from the Western Conference, which will probably be the Kansas City Mavericks. Go Mavericks!
Thank you, Cody. Yes,
Shameless
100%. Exactly. So, Cody, do you have any thoughts on this entire situation?
Yeah, it's not just privy to like minor league, professional league, whatever you want to call it when it comes to hockey or indoor football or whatever. As a huge rock and metal fan, a couple months ago, Bring Me the Horizon was about to be relocated from Madison Square Garden because of the Knicks. If the Knicks had won or lost one of their games or something like that, they would have had to play a Saturday or one of those days, and Bring Me the Horizon would not have played in Madison Square Garden. You talk about a huge profit loss for a rock and metal band. They need those huge venues. So it's not just these indoor teams that deal with it, but to the indoor credit, yeah, you're probably going to take the hockey team more than you're going to take the indoor team, like 9 times out of 10. And for all intents and purposes, we're talking playoff hockey versus regular season indoor football. So one's going to give you more opportunity to make more money because you don't know if it's the last time that hockey team's going to play there that season or anything along those lines. So it does suck what's going on with Wheeling. I hope that they can figure it out. But at the same time, I think we talked about it last week. Wheeling had never really been in a situation like this in a long, long time when it comes to their hockey team. But you still have to plan for that stuff. And to TJ's credit, when you share a venue with not just hockey, but indoor soccer, G League, whatever the case could be, like they're to your credit too, Sam, and even Krish, there are levels to this, and that pecking order will go top to whoever's paying the most money, whoever's getting the most profit, the most fans, whatever's going to help that building make the most money, all the way down to the peanuts. And right now, I don't know how many tenants are in that venue. It could just be those two, but if that is how it is, then the Nailers take it, and then the Miners are right underneath that. So unfortunately, it sucks at what's happening because you want your team to play, and it's a whole league thing too, because now you're stuck with the AAL going like, how do we reschedule these games? We're still paying the rent for the arena. We're still doing this and that. So we got to do all this, but now we have to either get bus rides and everything and hotels and blah, 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 and all of that stuff resituated because what you thought was one weekend is going to end up being a different one.
I have a question. Why can't Wheeling play in Jersey? Is that like, I'm sure they talked about that. Do they not want to, or what's the?
Yep. It's basically what it boils down to my understanding.
I don't like that.
I'm not a big fan of that decision either by them. I think that, after some of the comments last week, it made it sound like Jersey's trying to dictate the situation behind the scenes, and I really just don't think that's the case. I think this is really just a tough situation for everybody involved, and I think they're trying to present every feasible option to every team to make this all work, because let's be honest, when you have to schedule or reschedule 3 games in the middle of your season, it creates a huge problem for everybody, because then you're having to jumble games the rest of the season or whatever may happen. And this is a situation where I think, Wheeling maybe needs to step back from some of their previous preconceptions about what they want to do and what they will do. At this point, I think you just have to compromise and say, you know what, maybe we didn't want to play there, but at the end of the day, if it means getting the game in and continuing the league and making sure everything continues to go on track, it might be that time to make that compromise this week, and maybe you only do it once or whatever. And then, we can address that Jersey arena in the future or whatever may happen there. But, I think at this point, it's time to make a compromise to get these games in and keep moving, because otherwise.
One of the questions I have here is there a game being played on Sunday? Because I'm looking at the ECHL schedule, the Nailers only have the one home game for tonight, and then they're in Florida for the next 2 games if they make it to 7 games. So is there any issue that the minors couldn't play tomorrow? I mean, we've seen teams play on Fridays, on Sundays, Mondays, whatever it could be, to the point where you're not having to reschedule a game weeks later down the road. So maybe there's already a concert or something Sunday. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it, but again, like I said, there are opportunities to reschedule within the week. I'm just not sure what's going on. I'm not going to speculate or anything on that either, but like there's ways to get it done.
Agreed. And basically what has been presented to my knowledge, and again, I do not have all the information. I have a lot of it. I do not have all of it. Just so we're all clear, I don't want anybody thinking that I have every last detail about the situation, but graduation season, high school graduations are scheduled. They're taking up a lot of these venues. And that's unfortunately been part of the issue for Wheeling as well. Is if it's not hockey, it's high school graduations because we're in that time of year. And I think Sunday is a high school graduation. If I remember correctly, that might have been said about the 16th game or the 23rd game as well. It's been kind of a crazy trying to keep up with all the situations that have been unfolding as we're trying to figure it out. So I know graduations have been a factor. I know hockey's been a huge factor. I know them trying to shuffle things around has caused some issues. For instance, on the game that was supposed to take place on the 23rd, that was going to be the Pittsburgh Outlaws. And basically what happened is because of the 16th game being moved to a Friday, Michigan couldn't travel. Pittsburgh stepped up and gave up their bye week. So then they moved their bye week the following week. But then there was another situation with Michigan not being able to make it, which then created this whole domino effect. But I like this comment right here by Ricky, because this tells you everything you need to know. Not 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, they will take the hockey team. And the arena has to. As you guys said, it's just the economics of the situation. However, the league could have done a better job in planning around this situation. All leagues are faced with these challenges. You're not wrong. And I'm not, trying to sit here and explain it away or apologize it away or anything like that. This should have been planned ahead of time. But at the end of the day, it wasn't. So we're here at the point that we find ourselves now. So it's a tough situation. I don't think anybody thought it would have dragged out this late, but here we are. So, however, we have another guest that looks like waiting for us in the green room. So we're going to hit a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back with some IFL talk and be joined by Damon Street, the wide receiver from the New Mexico Chupacabras, who has been lighting it up lately for them. I believe he is by far and away their number one target. So we'll definitely bring him on here in just a short minute. But before we do, a quick word from our sponsors.
Omaha Beef Football, Prime Dancers, Rump Roasters, Slaughterhouse, are you ready? DJ Next One. You ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Slaughterhouse where we run it. Yeah, we really want it. Beef Nation, girl, I'm shaking. Got a ring and we flown it. Prime Dancers be on it. I bet the competition's no opposition. We come to take and we done it. Ricky is the G saying, let's go beef. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Slaughterhouse. Orange and Black. About to win this. Defense stays on attack. You on our hit list. Spiking, blocking, and dumping, jumping out the gymnasium. You want to see the best? Meet us at the Beef Stadium. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Let's go, Beef. Orange Kingdom. Slaughterhouse. Orange Kingdom. Prime Dancers.
How many times a week?
Like
three or four times, maybe.
I'm gonna pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
The mountains you climb, maybe stairs. The records you set, maybe personal. The fans you inspire, maybe family. No lights, no camera, just action. You don't have to be a pro. You just need Honey Stinger.
All right. We are joined by wide receiver Damon Street of the New Mexico Chupacabras. Mr. Street, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, man. Bless. How you guys doing today?
Doing very good. Thank you so much for joining us. Really excited to have you on this morning. And was not aware you were joining us until a couple minutes ago. So a little bit of a surprise guest, which is always fun. But, I mean, before we get into too much, I mean, you've been playing extremely well for New Mexico as of late. It seems like you've been one of the main weapons on offense for them. So talk to us a little bit about your first experience with the New Mexico Chupacabras.
Well, first off, yeah, this is my first year in the IFL period. So it really, all of this has just been a blessing and really kind of a movie experience, just taking it day by day. You know, last year I had a tryout or the training camp with the Barnstormers, and unfortunately I didn't make it out of training camp. But I do kind of feel like that was a learning opportunity for me. I kind of felt like I really needed that because I honestly feel like them cutting me from that kind of humbled me a lot and really kind of turned me into a different beast. And then with that being said, it kind of brought me to the Iowa Power. And I think a couple of you guys kind of know that situation. But I think even that just prepped me to just be ready for certain moments that's just been happening now.
Absolutely. I mean, that power situation was very tough. That it seemed like that team had a lot of chemistry. That they kind of stuck together despite the situation and stuff. So very excited to see that you have found success in a little bit more stable situation moving forward.
Appreciate that.
Cody, you're kind of our IFL expert, so I'm sure you can give us a little bit better, more intimate questions for Mr. Street here.
I didn't come prepared, but hey, man, how's it going?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. So if this is your first year within the indoor football league, what were your expectations coming into it? Like you said, you've already had the tryout and everything like that, but actually getting signed, suiting up for your first game, how were the nerves? What were the expectations? Was it just go out and try and provide for the team? Or was it more like, I know my worth, I'm going to go ball out? Because to what Sam was saying, you've been balling out for New Mexico this entire season.
Nah, that's a great question because to be honest, like, I don't mean to be like cocky or anything, but like I believe wholeheartedly in like what I'm capable of and my abilities. But at the same time, like I'm one of those guys that's coming from that lower tier school. So like I started off Division III, University of Dubuque, I think 3 years with them, sat out, like watched the older guys work. Then I made my way up to the spot. Then I transferred over to Grandview University, did 2 years as NAIA. You know, we was going like to the conference finals, or we lost one game before the championship both years. And you know, it was always fun, but I always felt like it was a little too easy. So finally being at this level of football, I always wanted to know what I could do against those higher tier level of guys. So that first game against the Orlando Pirates was a great test for me because you know that first touchdown I had, I believe that guy was in the UFL last year. So you know, seeing that, and they had guys playing at Bama, LSU, just seeing just the type of level of competition and just seeing that I'm like, hey, I can stick around, I can hang with these guys. So that's just been one of the best parts about it.
Just curious, before you joined us, did Krish give you a little primer and one of them was like, have to talk nicely about the Pirates when you come on, or?
Nah, man, it's a respect thing, man. I'm a respectful athlete, man. Get credit where it's due.
Yeah, totally kidding. Honestly, I think what you said there was a great point. You know, the Pirates are always very, very talented, among the most talented in the league, and for you to go against them and still find some success, I mean, that's a good measure, I would say. Also wanted to throw this comment at you. Head coach of the Vegas Nighthawks showing a little bit of respect. Kid has crazy potential. So if Mike Davis is saying nice things about you, you're on the right track. And you're probably got a bright future ahead of you. So, Krish, you brought Mr. Street here. I'll kick it over to you, buddy.
Yeah, good to see you, man. It's been a while. My question for you is kind of about Coach Brown. I know this year you battled a lot of adversity. Talk about the culture that he's trying to build in New Mexico.
Man, Coach Brown's definitely I love that guy. I love that guy. Coming in, he took a chance on me that nobody else was willing to take. And I'm coming off a really bad game last game, and he's been sticking through it with me. Like it's not, yeah, we're not having a great season, but it's not on Coach. Like I know a lot of the media and stuff might try to put it on him, but he's not out there playing. We're out there playing. But every day he's coming in there with something different. Like I believe the theme of this week was like we got punched in the mouth. It's time to get back up. Like what we gonna do? Like are we gonna keep laying down or we finna get back up? But fortunately for me, boxing is my second favorite sport. So I love little stuff like that. Coach Brown is a great leader, and I love that guy as a head coach, and I'm gonna stick by his side to the end.
That's a great ringing endorsement for Coach. I love that. So TJ, do you have any questions?
Yeah, touching on, well, really the last couple weeks, I was lucky enough to be there on Sunday. What was it like playing in the IFL Cup, and what do you think the atmosphere was there for you and New Mexico in a different kind of venue?
Nah, that was fun. I'm blessed for them to even have New Mexico be one of the teams to be out there and be a part of that, because I believe we were staying in New Jersey, but like we were in New York most of the time. And we was out there for like 8 days, and my family got to come out for that first game. And I don't know if y'all know, but when my family comes out, it's a different beast that activates. So we played against the Rattlers, and y'all know it's a good team too. But I still put up some good numbers against them. But it's just the fact that just having my family be able to, come, because I'm from Chicago, Illinois, so we don't really get to go out and do too much stuff together as a family. But just seeing that and just, the whole experience has just been a movie. I got a chance to see one of my favorite actors and stuff. We went to a Yankees game. Like that's stuff that don't happen every day.
Yeah, I thought it was really awesome. I saw the pictures shared by the Pirates at one point where they all kind of went to the Yankees game together and stuff. And I think that's cool, right? Like, obviously the IFL's kind of made some hints that they might be exploring New Jersey as a long-term market. So, putting teams out there for a full week, and you've got 4 teams kind of going different directions, getting in the community, stuff like that. I think it's a good thing, if you are eventually putting a team there. But I think you kind of showed the way you approached the game just now, and it was probably not even intentional, but you said, I had some pretty good numbers against Arizona in a game that you had your first 100-yard reception, 100-yard game with the IFL against a Rattler secondary that is a really, really good unit as well. So talk to us a little bit about the IFL Cup, your performance against Arizona, and how your confidence level must have been going into that Orlando game.
Well, yeah, I believe against Arizona, I had 102 yards off 5 catches and then 1 touchdown. But I don't know. The thing with me is just I still don't feel like that was a good game, because one thing about my mom, she's definitely raised a perfectionist. I feel like I can always give. I promise you, I feel like I can give more every game. Like I'm in my head, I want to touch 200 yards a game. Like that's what I want personally. Like no selfishly. Like the rest of my receiver core, they're dogs. I want them to eat too. I'm just saying, like, you feel me? That's just, but the IFL Cup itself, that first game definitely, I feel like it gave me a little confidence booster, but it gave me a little too much, I feel, because coming into that second game, we had a lot of things personally happen to the team that kind of had us all over the place, like mentally, and I feel like I kind of got into a little drought during that game against the Pirates, and like I couldn't get out of it. I don't know what it was. Like I just dropped one hitch, just wide open, and I just couldn't get out of it. But we got a big game this week, so that's behind me. Those bad games behind me. So that means I've been working my butt off this since the first day we got back off the plane to get back right against this big game against California or San Diego.
Awesome. TJ, any more questions?
Yeah, I mean, moving forward for the rest of this season, obviously, we've already touched on it. It's been a little bit of a rough season, but no matter what, you want to win every single game. What do you think the team needs to do to build for a better ending to this season and also set up for a better overall season next year?
just keep corralling behind each other, keep believing. We gotta believe. We gotta know we got the group and that we're talented enough to do this. We believe and find our right core guys that we know we can do it with. It's on. I promise you, it's on.
Cody, do you have anything?
Yeah. When it comes to how you got the start, what was that phone call, FaceTime, whatever it was like when Coach Brown was like, "Hey, you've made the team"? How did that kind of go? And then secondly, how do you personally train for going like over the wall? I can't remember off the top of my head if you've had any catches going over the wall, but how do you kind of train or prepare yourself for that? Because it gets spoken about a little bit, but what is that feeling like when you're like, I'm about to crash into this thing? I better make sure that I'm good for myself. Because I think you've gone over, haven't you?
To be honest, I was a high jumper coming out of high school, so I love that. There was a play I had against Vegas. I think it was my first time. We in our receiver group, we was always like, who's gonna be the first one to go over the wall this year? And they was always saying me. And I believe it was a play against Vegas. It didn't get posted a lot because LJ, my boy, had I think he just had a low block or something, so they threw the flag. But I went over the wall, caught it, and I just was so high, bro. Then I came down. Then I was literally like sitting down with the fans, like just chilling right next to them. And I'm just looking like it's not that bad. Like I think it's just not bad when you catch it. Now once you drop it, I feel like it's when it hurts. But I don't know. That's what the game is about. You feel me? I feel like that's how you get your clips. That's how you get the media attention. You gotta be that type of receiver. You know.
I love that. I love
But
that.
I don't think there's no training for that though. There's no training for that. It's just when it happens, you just gotta bring that ball in.
So coach isn't setting up like a 3-foot wall and just having you guys catch balls off the jug machine over the wall repeatedly.
Hey, but if he do it, I'll be the first one in line. Telling you.
Just based off of our quick conversation, I have zero doubt about that, sir. I wanted to ask you, obviously, part of the challenges this season has been the change in quarterback throughout the year. So obviously you started off the season with Jerome Johnson, then you guys moved over to Harry Rubidoux, and then also at times Donovan Porter has entered the game as well. Talk to us a little bit about your perspective from that, how it's been a challenge to kind of adapt as a receiver, catching passes from 3 different quarterbacks.
Well, at this level, well, me personally, I love every quarterback that you just named that we've had or are having right now, because I believe every one of them has threw me a touchdown this far. So I respect every one of them. But like I told you earlier, I've played with many different teams. So with those different teams, there's a bunch of different quarterbacks. So especially the lefties, the righties. So a lot of times you got to prep for that. So I feel like I don't mind who's the quarterback. As long as the ball's right here, it's just on me to do my job. I feel like I can't worry about what's going on right there because like I'm still a rookie. So I still got to make sure I do my job because I'm still trying to keep my job every day.
That makes sense. TJ, do you have anything else?
Nope, I'm good, man. But good luck on the rest of the season, and man, continue to ball out, man. You've been doing great so far.
I appreciate you guys. Thank all you guys for the opportunity, and may y'all stay blessed, man.
Of course. Cody, do you have anything else for Mr. Street?
I was just going to end it for myself on this one. You guys have had a couple of road games. Obviously, you went up to the Indoor Football League Cup. You're traveling out to San Diego. What's been your favorite place to go to?
Favorite place to go to, like playing in the arena wise or just in their city?
Yeah.
Oh, Jacksonville was lit. And then one of my buddies, his whole family, because they're out in Florida, so they came to the game. So after the game, like it was a pretty good game. But after the game, we talked with coach and whatever. I came back out. I literally left out the arena doors with the rest of the fans in my jersey with my family, because I still feel like a fan of this game. Like literally last year, I was working for the Barnes, or the past 2 years in college when I was not last year, the past 2 years when I was at Grandview, I was working security for the Barnstormers, like as a security guard. So I was always working their games. Morgan Wallen was my first concert. Like that arena was lit. So that's why I kind of hurt my feelings a little bit when I got cut from that team. But it's still all love at the end of the day.
Man, what a story that is. And honestly, we'll have to get you on for a full-length interview to talk about that journey from, working the games to playing in the games against them, hopefully some point this year. It would be awesome to see that. So thank you so much for your time this morning, man. You seem like just a genuine, great human being. So I wish you nothing but success the rest of the way. And something tells me you're going to find a lot of success the rest of the way. But if there is anything you want to shout out to family or anybody you want to shout out at home or anything like that, you have the floor, sir.
Just shout out you guys for bringing me on. Shout out Coach Brandon for bringing me on. My mama, my family, New Mexico. And yeah, let me know when y'all post this so I can hurry up and send it to my grandma and my mama, please.
It's actually live, sir. So I will make sure that Krish gets you the link right now. And you can catch it on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So make sure that you share it with everybody. And if you're watching and you like to, you want to follow along with Mr. Street, where can they find you on social media?
I'm on Instagram at Showtime on3.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time this morning, man. Have a great rest of your Saturday and best of luck the rest of the way.
Appreciate it, you guys. You too.
Absolutely. So once again, that was Damon Street, wide receiver of the New Mexico Chupacabras. Really excited to have him on today, and thank you to Coach Brandon Henderson for arranging that. I was not aware it was him, although I should have known. So thank you so much for that assist there, Coach B. Great player. Looking forward to seeing him in the future. Moving on, we've got an IFL Cup to review. So you may know, you may not know, two of these men on the screen were at the IFL Cup last week. Krish attended the first two games. TJ attended the second two games. And thanks to TJ, we have several pictures to share and a lot of really good ones. So why don't we kind of just go through your guys' experience? I know, Krish, you kind of already went over this a little bit, but I was curious. I mean, looking back on the games now, having been able to watch the games on TV and then also attend the games on TV, how do you feel about the whole experience now that you're at home? You've kind of been able to absorb everything.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, Vegas is clearly the best team in the league right now. Of course, I mean, I can't front about that. But no, it's a great experience. The championship game was exciting to watch. Except the trophy celebration part. But, I enjoyed the game itself. And, I think it's good for the league. The competitive nature of it, is really good. And it's only going to grow. And I think the first IFL Cup was a 10 out of 10. And next year it's going to be an 11 out of 10. It's only going to keep getting better. Leadership for the league has really invested in events like these to try to, promote the league and grow it long term. So, I enjoyed watching the championship game. I know TJ was there. I have a video to play from the championship game too that I'm about to play here in a minute. But man, I think Arizona is really good. I think Arizona's defense is insane. And I think Arizona, when they get Lundy back, they'll be the best defense in the league right now. Honestly, not the best defense, but top 3 in the league. And I think their defense is going to be good. Those two teams will meet again in the Western Conference Championship. I fully expect that. So, but yeah, no, it's a good thing for the league, and I'm excited. I hope these 4 teams. I know Vegas will be in it next year because they won the IFL Cup this year, so they should put them in it next year. We'll probably be in it again, and then who knows what the other 2 teams will be. But I'm just excited to see how they pick the teams. One thing I do want to bitch about though for a sec that pisses me off, and I just find it so funny. So Vegas gets their game flexed to Sunday night at 7:30. Arizona plays at home and New Mexico plays at home. Why do my guys have to go on the road? Why do we have to go to Arizona? Why do we have to travel so far with limited rest? Complete bullshit. It is unfair. We should have a bye week. Every team that plays in this should have a bye week after. It's so unfair. It's unfair on my guys. It's unfair, everything. Those 3 other teams have home games and we don't. I don't like that. That's setting us up to fail, to be honest. It's not right, And when someone gets hurt, I won't be. I'm going to be even worse when someone gets hurt because of the lack of rest.
SEC guys can handle it. man. That Triple McGee said so, so it must be.
But like they left on like Tuesday or Monday night, like getting there so late, adjusting the time difference, and then playing a game on Saturday, like that's crazy. You know,
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. That is a crazy turnaround, and it's difficult for any team for sure. So that is definitely something that could be looked at in the future, and I think that's a perfectly valid point. You know, giving every team a bye week after that event, just because of the nature of the beast, I think might be a good idea. You know, you might get some better games after the fact from those other teams. So not the
like,
worst
didn't
idea
they
in the
get a
world.
bye week after their first game of the season, right? Like they had a bye week and then they played, you know, and then I think they had a bye like 2 weeks after. Like I don't like when you have your bye so early. Like they should be spread out. And I know I'm not saying it's easy. It's so difficult to make a schedule, right? There's so many different arena dates and everything, but you gotta find a solution. You gotta, because it makes players tired and they don't perform at their best, you know, with lack of rest.
Fair point. TJ, what were your thoughts overall from your attendance of the two games?
Man, it was incredible. You know, first off, I just want to, before I even get into that, man, I just want to thank the IFL for having us out there, man. It was so awesome. You know, literally from the second we got there, you know, they were super inviting, multiple times, in the media row, as, you know, I was calling it. Uh, you know, people from the IFL and stuff were coming through, making sure we were okay, if we needed anything, stuff. I mean, it was just a great all around experience from top to bottom. Uh, and I would be totally fumbling it if I also didn't thank you, Sam, because without you and this network, I wouldn't have been at the game. So, so thank you as well for that. It was just great from start to finish. You know, getting to see live football, so meeting so many people. It was top notch, man. The venue and the setup on TV looks great, but it does not do it justice in real life, man. It is a picture of beauty. It's literally like it was meant to be there. I love the kind of Coliseum look. I took some other photos that I'll hopefully be able to drop sometime soon. I actually purposely took pictures during the champ or the IFL Cup game of all the rows, and people are filled, lined, watching it. So you really get the real effect of people will come, people, you know, did come, and they're going to watch it, you know. So it was just a really great experience all the way around. And again, I thank the IFL and you as well for making it happen.
Oh, you have nothing to thank me for, man. If anything, I have to thank you guys. As you all know, anybody who knows that watches the show, I live in Colorado, so the likelihood of me making it to New Jersey to attend an event like this on fairly short notice, given that I was not, you know, prepared for it before the season, it is slim to none. So honestly, that's what the great part about this network is together we're able to provide a lot better coverage than any one of us individually ever could. So I really thank you guys, for both of you attending this game, and to Cody for the 1.5 million games he's attended this year as well. So I mean, honestly, I appreciate all of you guys for being able to put forth your time and effort and then money to travel there. Krish, you know, from Massachusetts, and TJ from Pittsburgh, or Pennsylvania. So I mean, it's definitely a thing that I really appreciate you guys for. But it was cool to also hear, like, you know, I would have people, you know, messaging me, be like, hey, I just ran into Krish, or hey, I just ran into TJ, and stuff like that. And that was really cool, because it's like you're finally getting to see those connections made over, you know, something that's not necessarily a podcast platform. So really cool. And speaking of which, Adrian saying my favorite part is TJ turning around to have Jerome Bettis right there behind him. So TJ, tell us a little bit about that. You got to meet, you're a Steelers fan, first of all, or were, I guess. And you got to meet Jerome Bettis, man. How was that?
That was a dream come true, because I say that because there are so many stories, you know, of people you idolize and celebrities that turn out to be not nice people in real life. Jerome Bettis, class act, man. Honestly, after the initial "Holy crap, that's Jerome Bettis," you know, "I love you, how are you doing?" kind of thing, it was like another dude just hanging out in the media area. He hung out in the media area with us, for a large part of the pregame because he was part of the coin toss ceremony. And man, he was just sitting there hanging out on his phone, just talking to anyone who, went up to him. Super courteous. Anyone who wanted an autograph or picture, he was like right there on the spot. I mean, he's, again, just a great dude. And it was awesome to see, man. It was awesome to see a great addition to the IFL in terms of ownership, in my opinion.
Speaking of which, I mean, perfect segue into the next topic, right? So we've reviewed the IFL Cup, but of course, the big announcement that happened during the Cup, speaking of which, great marketing by the IFL. That's when you make announcements, people. But anyway, Jared Widman comes on the camera and he has an interview on camera and he discusses not only the fact that the IFL will be expanding to Austin, but he drops a hint that there might be some games played in New Jersey via a new team there. So he made some comments about across the parking lot, which has led a lot of us to believe that there may be a venue very nearby that ends up being the home of this new team if it happens. He said it was not concrete very, very distinctly in that interview, but he did, however, say that Austin is a go and that it is 100% going to happen. So, Cody, you've been sitting there very quietly. What are your thoughts on the announcement that we will be getting a team in Austin, Texas, and then potentially a Jersey team?
Well, that's not all. Because if you remember the news articles that have been shared around the Athens expansion, there's also been the rumor of Bay Area no longer being dormant going into this year. Whether or not that is the Panthers coming back or a new quote-unquote expansion team out there in the Bay Area remains to be seen. So from what I have gathered, from what I have heard over the months and everything included into this, there were already two teams that were a go. I'm led to believe that those were Athens and Austin. And then I've also heard that there were two teams that are not wishy-washy, but you get where I'm coming from, where it's like they could be added if the timing is right, the money's right, and everything like that. That would lead me to believe that it would be this potential New Jersey team and maybe the rewritten history of the Bay Area Panthers. So if that is the case and all four of those teams come to fruition, it would probably be, just off the top of my head, the biggest expansion the IFL has had since 2019, 2020, when they brought in the CIF teams like Bismarck, Quad City, Bay Area, well, expansion Bay Area at the time, Oakland, and Frisco. So it'll be the first time in 6 years or so, 7 years, that they've expanded this rapidly. So if things are right, then it's all going to go really well for what expansion has gone through. And then I've also heard coming down the pike, not just for 2027, but there's also teams lined up for 2028 as the Indoor Football League wants to get to that 24 team cap and then level it off from there. So my thoughts, Austin, great venue. It's going to be a nice travel partner for San Antonio and Tulsa. Athens, obviously a nice travel partner for Jacksonville and Orlando, and a little bit of a bridge kind of towards Fishers and the Southwestern teams like Tulsa, San Antonio, and Austin. And then if there is that potential New Jersey team, yes, they could be on an island, but that does kind of give you a hint of where the IFL wants to go next. As they've already got those teams in the Southeast, they want to start building back up into the Northeast. Maybe Orlando relocates to Mass because they're prone to do. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like they are building something very, very sound. And then if you can get Bay Area to come back, that adds another notch for San Diego and out to California to get those fans in the Bay Area. If you were able to corral those older SaberCats fans like they tried to do the first time, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But yeah, I like everything that's going on.
Agreed, and I'm glad that you mentioned the comment on San Jose or Bay Area, depending on which article.
I have a question. Are there any arenas like small? When I mean small, like under 10,000 people in that area that they could play at?
What area?
Which yeah.
San Jose or Bay Area.
There can be like I don't know if they would be like beneficial towards like. You would have to look at the dimensions of like maybe one of the colleges there, like San Jose State or something like that. I'm not necessarily sure. I know way back in the day, the Austin Wranglers played where the Texas Longhorns played basketball at the Frank Irwin Center or whatever it was down there in Austin. So like you just have to look at the dimensions on like hockey and things like that. I know the San Jose Barracuda and the San Jose Sharks share the SAP Center as the AHL and NHL affiliate. So if that's the only place that they can go, that might be it. Otherwise, I know they've had arena bowls. They've had to relocate arena bowls out to Sacramento. I don't know if you want to do that or if that's a viable option. Because I know there's multiple arenas out there because the Sacramento Kings had to have a new arena, just absolutely had to have a new one because Sleep Train just wasn't doing it. So I'm not sure, to that credit. There could be, but then you're going to have to deal with workman's comp. You're going to have to deal with insurance. And then California is one of the most expensive places to live, especially that Bay Area, San Francisco, San Jose, Oakland, all of that. So it remains to be seen. Like I said, that's not, those were just press clippings, nothing from Jared, nothing from anyone else. So if there's something that we don't know, we might know it sooner rather than later. But until then, it's just a couple of sentences in some paragraphs.
Definitely. Couple things to touch on, and I think you already hit most of the nails on the head with the venue situation. Little bit of a spoiler, we're going to have an article coming out that's going to be discussing in depth all the different markets that are rumored or confirmed about the IFL expansion. It'll be coming out very soon. I covered the West Coast teams or Western teams in terms of Austin and Bay Area. My guy Matt from Arena and Indoor Football History is covering the Eastern teams in terms of Athens and potentially New Jersey. So Cody hit the nail on the head with the venues. There's only really 2 venues in San Jose that would work, and both of them he mentioned already, so I'm not really going to spend a ton of time on that. But I will address this comment. So obviously everybody would love to see the San Jose SaberCats return. That's the pride of San Jose. That's what built arena football in that region. That's what made, part of what made Darren Arbette the legend that he is today. And all of that. So with that in mind, I looked into the trademark history of San Jose SaberCats, and currently there are 2 active trademarks, which are slightly different. The San Jose SaberCats are owned by the SCAM, that is the National Gridiron League, but it's technically to run like children's camps, so I'm not sure if it even overlaps to the point where it would not make it available. The only other trademark is for apparel and whatnot, and it is the very original San Jose SaberCats logo and branding, and it is primarily for merch sales. So I think there is an opening potentially for them to go back to that SaberCats name. They might just have to get a little creative and term it San Jose SaberCats Indoor Football or Indoor Football of San Jose, or something creative to get around the trademark issues. But it could potentially happen, and that would make, in my mind, a lot more sense if this is a Bay Area return. Did Bay Area go dormant for a season so they could rebrand? But one of the things that has been brought up several occasions is the fact that we all believe Bay Area's turf is now in Pueblo with the Punishers. So that's another fact that, if it's Bay Area, they might need to buy new turf. Does that lean into the fact that they could be rebranding? There's a lot of questions to answer there. And honestly, it just made for some very interesting couple months coming down the pike as we expect to hear more news coming out from all these different potential expansion markets. So, yes, 100% Adrian, real estate pricing is crazy nuts, but definitely would be excited to see them figure something out. No, Brian, Austin Falcons are not going to be joining the IFL. I do like this point too. It was awesome to drop it prior to kickoff. I would be completely missing the point if I didn't point out the fact that they did that intentionally. You want people to watch the game, make a big announcement before the game, get people tuning over to that channel immediately to catch the announcement, and then they'll stick around for the game. The logic was not lost on me when I saw the announcement. So good for the IFL for realizing the power of the event that they built. So, any other thoughts you guys want to get to on the IFL before we move on?
One last thing I do kind of want to touch on. I know you said there's only a couple of arenas, but I'm wondering, if it's not San Jose proper, they were originally the Oakland Panthers before they moved and just created Bay Area. And we know that the Golden State Warriors moved into their Chase Arena. I wonder if Oracle is still open. Kind of like how the Meadowlands Arena is the rumored place. I wonder if Oracle could be used for the potential Bay Area team. And they go back to Oakland.
It could be, but the reason let me touch on that a couple ways. So first of all, the Oakland Panthers trademark is 100% active. Technically, they have been informed they need to renew. There's not documentation that they have renewed, but they technically have until February of 2027 to renew the Oakland Panthers trademark. So that's also a possibility. There's a lot of different avenues that could go this way for the Panthers. As you can tell, been doing a lot of research on this whole situation. So there are definitely some other options if you go outside of San Jose, but the fact that they're all pointing out exactly San Jose had kind of steered me toward they're going to be in San Jose proper, like you mentioned. But and then also I'm glad that you pointed out Meadowlands Arena is the arena that is rumored to be the destination for the New Jersey team. And in fact, I think Coach Davis alluded to that fact right here. There's an arena in the parking lot because the Meadowlands Arena literally shares a parking lot with the American Dream. Several years ago, it stopped playing host to sports and venue or a concert venue, stuff like that, and became like a TV stage and closed arena. So that would require the reopening of it, but not necessarily out of the realm of possibility because the arena is still in working order currently, as far as I know. So with that, any more thoughts on IFL?
Yeah, just some minor transactions to report from different teams. So Tucson, they signed Dewan Mathis. He's a quarterback from UGA, the one who beat the brain tumor. He's all right. Not really, a major move for them. They also released their kicker, Kevin Macias, who in my mind.
Back up. Did you just say this guy beat a brain tumor and you just glossed over it real quick? Like that's not a huge deal in his.
It is a huge deal, but I mean, I'm just saying, and it's amazing. But as a football player, he's kind of questionable. But well, now you're trying to make me look like a bad guy for no reason.
No, I'm not trying to make you look like a bad guy at all. It's just like you're like, oh yeah, I beat a brain tumor, and just kept going like it was nothing. It just I wanted to take a moment to give a little respect.
Kevin Macias, he's one of the top kickers in the Indoor Football League. He was released by Tucson, so I wonder what happened there. You always gotta wonder. And then not really, a couple guys hurt with Fishers. Jacksonville released Chris Chunawakwe. I think you know how to pronounce that, Cody, because I think he was with Quad City before. So, Chris
Sound it out.
Okay.
I think that might be worse.
Chris Chukwineke.
Yes, yeah, there you go. All right. So they released him. He was one of their better DBs. Calvin Bundes was released after 1 week, which I found kind of crazy.
He played last night for Arkansas.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened there. That's about it, really, And then Austin Newfield from Sioux Falls signed with Iowa, the old kicker for them.
Former Gillette Mustang legend, for anybody who's been around that long.
And the big one, the one I'm excited about, is DJ Lundy for Arizona, was activated off of IR. So he's back. He got injured in pregame warm-up, and now he's back. So he adds to that already dominant Arizona defense. So.
Kind of looked like Arizona might need a little bit of help in the secondary down the stretch anyway. So.
DJ Lundy was had a 80.3 pro football focus grade at Florida State. So, he was a consistent player for them. And, he just was going to elevate that unit.
Absolutely. And sorry, I'm trying to move off the IFL because we're kind of running long already, but there was a game last night. The San Antonio Gunslingers took on the Green Bay Blizzard. And at first, this game looked like it was going to be pretty close. And then it quickly got away from the Gunslingers. However, honestly, watching this game, not only did I come away with respect for the Gunslingers in the way that they continued to compete all the way late in the game, but I came away just so thoroughly impressed by the Green Bay Blizzard that they honestly might be the best team in the league. There was a lot of moments last night where I just felt like there was no way that San Antonio was going to stop them. Specifically, Kyer Robinson was unbelievable last night, and ultimately that Green Bay offense just looks really, really tough to stop right now. But any thoughts on that game before we move on? I know I kind of glossed over.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you guys, who would you sign if you were San Antonio at quarterback? Because Fred Payton looks like he's about to be out for the season. So
don't they still have Joaquin Coolazo?
He's on short-term injured reserve.
Ah, okay. That's a good question.
Jorge, I would sign Jorge Reyna. I think that would be a good move.
If he wants to play, I don't know. There's a couple of quarterback questions you can ask for multiple teams throughout the league right now. It's just sometimes you're kind of stuck with a hand that you're dealt. We got to remember at the very beginning of this year, they had 4 quarterbacks on the roster, including Dante Avila Santos and James Graham, who we've already mentioned earlier in the show. And they went with Fred Payton and Joaquin Collazo. And you've seen good or bad, you've seen what Dante Avila Santos has done over at Iowa. And then you saw what James Graham's been able to accomplish. So I don't know. Who do they go get? Does it turn their season around? They have not broken 40 points all season. What do you do?
Interesting little hint here.
He's on injured reserve for Oregon. So, bro, when you have money and you spend it on the defense, why can't you go buy a quarterback? You already bought players in the defense. I don't understand that. I'll never understand teams not investing in the 2 most important positions in indoor football are quarterback and linebacker. That's it. That's undisputable.
Quarterback and linebacker?
Quarterback and linebacker.
For a guy who harped on center all last year. Center
No,
quarterback.
2 most. That's an undisputable fact.
Hold on.
Last
Call
night
your
in
boy
Arkansas.
Bones and ask him what he thinks after last night. Center is 100% the top 2.
I'm just saying, man.
I was going to say, how many low snaps or high snaps have you seen from the Tulsa Oilers or the New Mexico Chupacabras or anything like that? The quarterback center exchange is one of the most important things in the indoor and arena game.
All right. Well, I'm going to judge based on Gabe's comments here that San Antonio may or may not have a new quarterback named Robert McCoy in the next 24 to 48 hours, I'm guessing. For anybody who's not aware, Gabriel Martinez is an agent with Nino Pro Sports, represents a ton of players. He also happens to be the first ever sponsor of the Shady Sports Network digital magazine, which, by the way, we are in countdown to the first issue. So it is going to be released in June, and we are very, very close to June. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you, Gabe, for sponsoring the magazine and also dropping a little nugget of information there for us, which may or may not.
Going to San Antonio. That's good. That's interesting.
Not official, just interest. So makes sense, especially if McCoy is not starting out there currently. Thought McCoy was hurt as well. I would be hurt too if I played for Oregon. Just kidding. Anyway,
so what's weird is they had Donovan Ollie. We'll talk about it AF1, but they released Donovan Ollie. So I wonder if Donovan Ollie was from San Antonio, but I think he's suspended for the year from Arizona. So I don't even know if he can play in the IFL this year. But the issue is these teams, like I said, they need to really invest in the quarterback position. I don't understand why you can't find, a good quarterback. I know the market's hard, but how is Coach Davis able to find 3, and this team can't even find 1? Why is it so different? Hey, sign Trey Self from Southwest. After the season, he's from Texas, right? That would be a great move, wouldn't it?
You didn't see that, Krish. No, it'd be a terrible move. Terrible move. He needs to stay in Southwest Kansas and then go outdoors.
If he goes outdoors before my guy goes, I'm done. I'm not watching that shit. I'm telling you.
No comment. I'm going to be nice today. I'm not going to do that. All right, but anyway, we're gonna hit a quick commercial break.
Oh, what about our betting picks? Come on, man.
Ah, dear Lord.
The best
the IFL section that never ends. All right, let me pull up DraftKings real quick.
I know Cody has some things to say, man. His boys are 23.5 underdogs. Crazy. Not crazy.
What do I have to say?
I mean, are you mad? Like 23.5 points?
Wait, hold on. What am I mad about?
23.5.
Oh, the spread? Oh, I mean, 23 is the magic number, man. Simple as that. I've already asked Coach Davis how much money he wants to take a dive for tomorrow. I mean, he told me it's priceless, which sucks. But I mean, if he wants like $20, that's probably the most I can do.
Can you elaborate on this comment, Coach? Because I'm very curious. He can't sign in the IFL after the other indoor seasons are over. Is that like a rule that I've never heard that before?
I've never heard.
If they're suspended, I believe.
Oh,
No, just 2 to 4 years you're suspended.
Is it pertaining to like Donovan Ollie or someone like that who was already signed in the IFL and then went to a different league? Because then once that league's regular season is over, then the entire season is over, then they can come back to the indoor football league. If I'm not mistaken, could be mistaken, but that might be it. Because there are some players that are suspended.
Yeah, that would make more sense. I was gonna say, to my knowledge, there's no like, I don't think they like lock players out from signing, contracts when they're with other leagues, because that would be insane. Like you would remove such a huge talent pool from any other league. But anyway, once the other leagues in the IFL and AL, you can't sign in IFL. It keeps people from stacking rosters late. Wow. Interesting. I was not aware of that at all, and I would definitely be curious to have a conversation with you to learn more about that rule and how that is all enforced, because that's craziness. I've never heard that before. But that's the kind of insight you get on this show, thanks to people in the industry that watch every week that love to give us some of that information, stuff that we otherwise probably would not have known. But we're going to go ahead and move on to these betting picks real quick. And let me get the...
real quick, run right through them. Let's go. Boom.
There you go. Iowa Barnstormers at Tulsa Oilers. Fisher Freight at Jacksonville Sharks. Northern Arizona Wranglers at Arizona. Orlando Pirates. Holy cow, look at those odds at Northern Arizona. Orlando Pirates at Tucson. And then we've got...
There you go.
What's up?
I was going to say, just wait for the spread. And then I said, there you go.
There you go. Yep. San Diego at New Mexico, Quad City at Vegas. So let's go ahead and run through all of these real quick. Krish, we'll let you kick it off. Who do you have in all of these games?
Tulsa minus 19.5. I'm going to go with the over 84.5 in that. Indy Jacksonville. I'm going to do something I never do. I'm going to pick Jacksonville to win this game on the money line. Minus 155 and minus the 2.5. Northern Arizona. Arizona. I'm going to do Arizona minus 22.5. I think Arizona will cover the spread. Yeah, they'll cover the spread for sure. And then I can't see the bottom part of the...
Of what?
I think your screen is frozen. Hold on. Yeah, now I can see. All right. So Orlando, Tucson. I see the comment that said I was, the 14.5 spread. Yeah, someone was also wrong about the locker rooms in the American Dream. So let's not go there. Orlando, that's a whole nother conversation. Orlando and Tucson. Look, man. 8.5 spread. I was mad about this when I first saw it, but then I took a deep breath and kind of, understood why. 8.5 is kind of respectful if you think about it, right? We're coming off limited rest. Our guys were done a certain way, so now we have to play so soon. They got the MVP quarterback coming in, so it'll be a good game. We should win by 8.5. Give me Orlando minus 8.5. I feel like we should win by 10. And give me the under. San Diego, New Mexico. San Diego minus 13.5. This is a joke. They're gonna cover that. They're gonna win by 25. Nate Davis, homecoming. Come on, man. Yeah, and then Quad City, Vegas. I'm going to pick Vegas minus 23.5, honestly. I think, 23.5 is a large spread, but Quad City is terrible on defense. Their defensive backs are horrible. Vegas can score a lot of points. One thing Quad City likes to do, they like to try to run the ball. Vegas this year, you want to hear a crazy stat. This year opponents have tried to run the ball 142 times against Vegas in 8 games, and Vegas is only allowing 3.02 yards per carry. Like, that's insanity if you think about it. So basically, you have a 90% chance when you run the ball against Vegas to get to 2nd and 7. So there's no point even trying to run the ball, because you're not. I mean, what's 3 yards going to do for you, So, give me Vegas minus 23.5 and the over.
I'm not real good at math, but 3 yards 4 times is 12 yards, right? Just saying.
Yeah, but you have to understand, then you have to look at how many yards they give up per down,
Yeah.
And
Totally kidding.
Run first down, So if I'm in 2nd and 7, just
no. Like I said, completely giving you a hard time. We all know the benchmark has and always will be 4 yards per carry is kind of adequate, right? So
142 attempts is crazy. That means teams have tried to do it and it's unsuccessful. So
agreed. Cody, what are your picks this week?
Yeah, so let's start it off with Iowa and Tulsa. I'm going to take Iowa plus 19.5. My main reasoning for that is last time I bet against Iowa and the spread, it kind of got pushed in my face. So, or actually, it was the spread with Jacksonville, I think just last week or whatever it was. And I picked Jacksonville, and Iowa was able to cover it. So I think it's going to be kind of the same thing here. Tulsa's got a really good passing game, but I mean, Iowa's been able to be competent, and I do like what Clifton McDowell has been able to do at the quarterback position in his start. So kind of go from there. We also know Tulsa's defense is a little susceptible as well, so we'll see how that goes. Fishers in Jacksonville. I got this one completely wrong the last time they played because I thought Fishers would be all right, and then I had Anthony Tanza of the Jacksonville Sharks in my DMs just going, "You doubting us now?" No, not this time. So minus 155 for the Jacksonville Sharks. Northern Arizona and Arizona. I do like what Anthony Garrett has been able to do with the Wranglers, and their offense actually looks more competent than it has been in the past, at least this past season. Arizona looks like they're, again, really pissed off after another loss to Vegas. But the last time these two teams played, Northern Arizona was actually leading into the third and I think the fourth quarter or somewhere around that. So plus 22.5. I think Northern Arizona, they won't keep it necessarily close, but at the same time, you spot them over 3 touchdowns. We'll see if that can happen through 4 quarters. There is an opportunity for a blowout there, but I'll say Northern Arizona's offense gets it going just a little bit. Get $5 on your $100 bonus bets. So, no, next one, Orlando and Tucson. Give me the under in this one. I'm not necessarily picking a winner because I just do not know. I truly don't know. I can see it in both things, and I Trey's in the comments right now, but I even messaged Trey as like, who the hell do I pick in this one? Because I can see the Pirates easily winning this, but then I can also see Tucson having the opportunity to cover the spread. So I'm not even going to do anything like that. Go ahead and give me the under 90.5. I think Orlando can put up points, but I also think Orlando's defense could stop Tucson a little bit. It remains to be seen, and we'll see how Jerome Johnson goes with that offense since he's now with the Sugar Skulls. San Diego, New Mexico, kind of self-explanatory, minus 13.5 for San Diego. New Mexico has not scored. They've scored 20 points, over 20 points once in their last 3 or 4 games. It's just not going good for New Mexico. So give me San Diego when it comes to that. And last but not least, give me Quad City plus 23.5. You can beat us by 23. You will not beat us by 23.5, baby. No matter what it takes. We will not be the Orlando Pirates of the IFL Cup. Damn it.
Cody, I don't know if that's a safe bet. But hey, we get it. A little bit of favorite team bias there.
Hey man,
TJ.
I've already requested the Venmo for Coach Davis. $20 coming your way, man. Just take the dive.
Oh, maybe he should. I hope he keeps that same energy since he wants to throw the ball up 33 with a minute left. Hopefully he keep that same energy. So that's all. But some franchises get different levels of respect, so it's fine.
Oh Lord. Well, I was once told something from my father a long, long time ago when I was a child, and it was a saying that goes a little like this: "You got to give respect to get respect." So, not saying that the Pirates don't.
One thing I do want to say, and this is honestly, it's just me backing up my boy here. Like, I see people online saying Vegas is a dirty team. Like I said this last week, they play like 2001 Miami Hurricanes. They're aggressive when they need to be, and they get in your head, man. They mentally and physically break you. And so until someone can find that out, they're still going to dominate. And so I don't know what the answer is, honestly.
Fair point.
I think they're unbeatable. No team is unbeatable, but they look pretty unbeatable right now.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it sounds weird to say, and I obviously don't want to necessarily make this prediction yet because it's still early in the season, but I would love to see Vegas and Green Bay in the championship game because I think that'd be a really, really fun game to watch from a fan's perspective. No matter if it was a defensive battle or an offensive battle, I just think that would be an incredibly entertaining game, and looking forward to hopefully that being the outcome at some point. Although wouldn't mind seeing Jacksonville in there either. Don't worry, Anthony. I'm still a fan. So don't come after me either. More Louis coming in hot. Perhaps a rumored man. Who was it that the defensive lineman from the Chupacabras is supposed to be?
Trey put that out last night.
What's that?
I saw Trey. You tweeted something about that.
Yeah, Maurice Jackson.
Keep up, man. They roll up with Defensive Player of the Year. They do all this stuff, man. They get all these guys. I don't know how, but
Where do you think my $20 is going?
Apparently, right in Joe. Is it Fouché?
Fouché.
Bro, he's
Fouché. Joe Fouché's pocket.
A young one from Purdue, Terry Roberts in Iowa, bro. Like, he's nice. He's a young DB. Man, he's going to be one of the best DBs in the league if he's still playing next year. But they got a lot of good young talent on that team, and that's what's scary about them. Is how young they are. Like, they're only going to get better.
That's fair. All right, TJ, you've been sitting there quietly, very patiently. What about you, sir?
I was just busy thinking about when I was there live last week and Vegas kept scoring. I'm pretty sure I heard Coach Davis say, "Take that, Krish." But anyway, moving on. We're going to go over these points here. I'm actually going to tell my parlay that I put in. I picked Iowa plus 19.5. Last time, just like Cody said, I went Fishers and I took it hard. So I'm picking Jacksonville minus 2.5 this time. I think they're going to hold on to win. Northern Arizona, I'm going to go with them plus 22.5. Only because last week, late in the game, Arizona made a quarterback switch. So we don't know what's going on with that going into this week. And for that reason, I think they'll keep it kind of close. But Arizona's definitely going to come out pretty PO'd after last week. Tucson and Orlando, I'm going to take Tucson with the points plus 8.5. I think Orlando probably squeaks it out in the end, but I think the points will cover. San Diego and New Mexico, I'm going to take San Diego minus 13.5. They're just, New Mexico, they got some stuff to work on right now. I'm just going to leave it at that. And Quad City at Vegas, I'm going to take Quad City with the points because 23.5, that's a big spread to cover. And for some reason, I'm seeing Vegas winning by around 17 or 20, so just under that spread. And if you pick all those picks, and if it hits, you turn $10 into $484. So let's go.
484?
Yes, sir.
That's some crazy odds. So I mean, if you want to go real crazy on a parlay, there you go. That might be the pick for you.
I mean, in theory, $5 still gets $240. So I mean, hey, that's still good change too.
I also want to send a quick prayer and condolences out to Tucson Sugar Skull organization. Unfortunately, defensive back Cortez Eatman, he passed away last night. So
What?
yeah, I just wanted to send that out there. But
oh man,
What?
my condolences for everybody in Tucson. That is an unbelievable tragedy. I mean, Cortez was what, 26, 27, something like that?
yeah, really young talented player. Really sad.
I'm so sorry to hear that for him, for his family, for friends, for the organization, everybody that was surrounding that young man. That is terrible to hear. So we'll just take a quick moment of silence as respect. Once again, my condolences to his family, friends, and the organization. That's terrible to hear. We never like to report on anything like that. We talk a lot of smack here, but at the end of the day, indoor football is all a community. All these guys know each other, or we know them, or vice versa, or whatever. So got to stick together, and you never like to hear that news about anyone, of course. So on that note, we are going to transition over to the NAL. We'll take a brief commercial break, and we'll be right back with the National Arena League news for this morning.
How many times a week?
Like three, four times maybe.
I'm gonna pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Omaha Beef Football, Prime Dancers, Rump Roasters, Slaughterhouse, are you ready? DJ next one. You ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Slaughterhouse where we run it. Yeah, we really want it. Beef Nation got them shaking. Got a ring and we flown it. Prime Dancers be on it. I bet the competition's no opposition. We come to take and we done it. Ricky is the chief. Saying, let's go beef. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Slaughterhouse. Orange and Black about to win this. Defense stays on attack. You on our hit list. Blocking and dumping, jumping out the gymnasium. You want to see the best? Meet us at the Beef Stadium. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Let's go beef. Orange Kingdom. Slaughterhouse. Orange Kingdom. Prime Dancers. Orange Kingdom. Let's roll, baby.
All right, perfect time to transition over to NAL. But before we do that, I wanted to share a little bit of information that was shared with me during the last segment. So, in regards to the Wheeling Miners situation, this is directly from a team source. Basically, the Hockey League gives essentially 12 days to play their seven-game series, and essentially the Nailers could have chosen some different dates along the way, but ultimately decided to choose Saturday games for each game that has popped up so far, which has unfortunately created these issues with the Miners. So this is unfortunately I don't want to. It's hard to call it a greedy situation because obviously as a sports organization, you always want to make the best decisions for your team, but it would be nice to see a little bit of a compromise there and have them maybe play on a Sunday versus a Saturday or something like that to make it work for Wheeling as well, or the Miners as well. But they go on to say that many fans have been refunded already on tickets due to these changes, and it definitely has affected the team, and probably will be something that they will work to recover from the rest of the way. But just wanted to share that because it is insight that I otherwise would not have known. So thank you to our sources with the Miners that have shared that information with us to give you a little bit of clearer picture of why everything is happening the way it is. But you may have heard.
Not to start a feud about it or anything, but so basically the Nailers had the option to kind of give and take a little bit, but they just cherry picked.
Yes, 100%. Well, from minor sources, right? Obviously, that's only one side of the story. I don't want to sit here and say that we have the whole story because obviously I have not reached out to the Nailers for comment. You can expect that I will after the show. So on that note, that's how journalism works. You get some information, you share it, you work on that to confirm it. But anyway, the big news out of the NAL this week is, of course, the news that they have signed their first expansion team for the 2027 season. I think, TJ, this may have been your news that you were alluding to last week, perhaps?
Yeah, that was all I had. Yeah, that was it.
That's what I figured. But, obviously it came out very quickly afterward. I will say one thing I did notice, and it's kind of a big deal. I think I mentioned this in our group chat as well, but glaring lack of anything related to cowboys, horses, or bulls. And man, how can you be in the state of Texas and not have a cowboy?
Like, what was that press conference, man? That looked like it was in someone's garage, bro. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, I'm just saying, man, make it professional. Like, it just makes me so mad. Like, and I know Dietrich personally, like, that's my boy too, so I'm hella disappointed that he didn't try to make it professional because he wasn't even there. Like,
so that's another thing that I wanted to ask about and kind of discuss, right? Obviously, as I've just mentioned, the National Arena League has announced that the Dallas Apex will be joining for the 2027 season. In that announcement, they announced that Dietrich Wise's family is involved with the team. What do we know about Dietrich Wise and his involvement in arena football? He was previously involved with the Beaumont Renegades. So, with that being said, I have been given information that he is no longer with the Renegades and is obviously going to be launching his own entity at this point, the Dallas Apex. With that being said, was I the only one that was struck that out of the blue, with very little warning, there was a press conference by the National Arena League? Did I miss something? Was there warning ahead of time for this that I did not see?
There was no warning. It was just they showed up one day, and dude, I woke. This is a real story. I didn't even look at my phone, and I logged in to see the NAL transactions, and I see this live video playing. What the hell is this? And then I'm like just watching the video of the press conference. I had no idea what's happening. There was no warning. There was nothing. I'm like, what is going on? I see Richard Sickler being there. I can't even keep track of how many teams he's been with in the last year. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, interesting to see that he's involved with this team as well. Previously with the Beaumont Renegades, and then also with the Odessa Drillers. Now apparently with the Dallas Apex, it appears. So obviously had ties to Wise, so that I guess that part kind of makes sense. But I was very similar situation to Krish. I was at work, and the next thing I know, I'm getting text messages. Hey, are you watching this live stream from the NAL? I'm like, live stream from the NAL? What's going on? And they're like, they're announcing an expansion team. I'm like, what? Like, had no idea a press conference was coming or anything. So it was a little bit of a surprise, which leads me to believe that this was not planned very far in advance. So I'm a little confused on that whole situation.
Yeah, I already know. Like, I love Ricky, but he's shaking with fear because this team's about to be the new Beaumont. Like, Dietrich, I love Dietrich. He doesn't care about no salary cap. Like, that doesn't apply to him. So he's just gonna go buy all the best players, and they're gonna, just have the best team in the league, man. They might win a championship next year. I'm not even. Like I'm just serious.
I'm gonna pull a page out of the Krish book, but I thought you meant shaking with fear, as in like this might be the next Dallas Bulls, or might be the next Beaumont Renegades in a situation where they're running out of money.
Omaha won't. Maybe Omaha might go to Dallas, but he's not ready. Yes, exactly.
Shaking in his knees. That's hilarious. No, I'm curious to see how this team comes together, because obviously anytime you can get an NFL involvement and ownership, that's a good thing. Obviously he's got financial backing, so that's not going to be a problem, I don't think. I do have some concerns. Obviously Beaumont has not had the smoothest path to where they're at today. So hopefully maybe it was the plan all along. Interesting. But yeah, so there's going to be a lot to figure out with this whole organization moving forward. But Cody, what were your thoughts on the kind of last second announcement, so to speak?
So this entire time that everyone's been talking, I've been writing this down. The Dallas Desperados, the Dallas Vigilantes, the Allen Wranglers, the Mesquite Marshals, the Texas Revolution, the Frisco Fighters, the North Texas Bulls, the Dallas Bulls. There's 8 Dallas-based teams.
That's just Dallas. Gotcha.
Because then you can include Beaumont, West Texas, anything. But these are just Dallas, Fort Worth, Allen, Arlen, whatever. And so that's 8 teams from like 2010 to now. None of them have worked. As I mentioned in the group chat, even the United Football League team is having trouble filling their stadium. Why do we keep trying this? We've mentioned it in previous episodes. Why do we keep trying this? I get it. Texas is a football state, but as long as the Cowboys are there, none of it matters. They traded Luka Doncic and everyone threw a hissy fit for the Mavericks. Like, what are we doing here? If it works, great. I will eat sand. I'll do whatever. I don't care. But like, can it work? Sure. But what just happened with the Dallas Bulls, man? And now you're going to bring a team right in there. There's so much fatigue in this market. Let it breathe for a minute. Not to say that the ownership and stuff can't make it work. They can. And I'll root for them when it comes to that. But at the same time, you're already up against the wall, man. I don't know what else to tell you. Who's going to go to these games that are like, well, at least it's not the Dallas Bulls? I don't know. I have such a weariness towards this because this market is like beyond burnt at this point.
Fair point. And I mean, if you want to expound on that point, if you look at the whole state of Texas, it just, the numbers get even worse, right? You look at Corpus Christi, West Texas, Amarillo, Venom, Warbirds. There's been so many teams that have come and gone over the past couple of years in Texas. I do have some concern for that. I have concerns about the way the information was presented, just because it feels rushed. But like you said, I'm going to root for the team. I'm going to root for the league. I want them to succeed. I mean, obviously, logistically, if they can make it work, it makes a lot of sense for travel, because then you make life easier on Amarillo, assuming they come back next season. You make life easier on, you give a semi-regional playing partner for teams like Southwest Kansas and Salina and stuff like that. So that logic makes sense from a logistics standpoint when you're not considering the background of the Dallas market.
Who do you think is going to be the coach for this team?
I'm sure one of the various Texas guys that's been kicking around. But let's see. Beaumont Renegade ties. Who's in the NAL right now that's having some success that has ties to the Beaumont Renegades? Clinton Solomon, perhaps?
That's what I was going to say. It's Solo or Manas. One or the other.
Manas would be interesting.
Manas with all that money in the NAL? Oh, man. It would be over, man.
Yeah, might be.
But Manas might go to Omaha. Who knows? I honestly think Manas might go to Omaha.
That's very true. He does have OG AFL ties on his father's side. So that's another interesting facet of this whole thing.
Do you think one of the 11 Orlando coaches would go?
I mean, realistically, there are a couple coaches on that staff that would be really good options. You know, James Fuller, for instance, would make a lot of sense in the NAL.
Honestly, that was my first thought, was Fuller.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I know it was slightly a joke, but there are a lot of good coaches on that staff that could make some sense. Interesting. I hadn't really thought that far ahead as far as the coaching side, but
yeah, that's the first thing you should think about when the team gets announced. Who's going to be the coach?
You and I see things slightly differently when it comes to football, though. With me, when I see a team announced, my first thought is business side.
Right.
How are they going to make it work? You know, you're very much about the football, and I mean no disrespect by that. We just view things differently.
No, I think it's important, right? You got to see how sustainable they will be, how much resources they have, you know, to last. Right? Those are all important, but it's important to see and know how competitive they'll be on the field. You can have it. Like I've always said, you know, it's so cute when they do the little, you know, press conferences last year for Amarillo. You know, Ricky's kind of sit there and say, "Oh, I've never won in this building." It's like, dude, shut up. You know you're gonna put belt in this team, and you know how ass they'll be. Like I knew when Ricky went to that press conference and saw Blakely walk across, he's like, "Yeah, I'm so excited for this team to be added." I don't think he feels the same about Dallas. I think Dallas is legit because they have a legit coach. Whoever they hire will be legit. I promise you. So.
I don't know. I think every team thinks they're it isn't concerned with who's in the league until it comes to the games. So I mean, I don't think that Ricky's necessarily like, oh no, like I'm not going to be able to play against them or compete and I don't think any owner thinks
like all the owners. They must be like, oh wow, it's got real, you know.
Which is a good thing if that's the case, right?
Right.
That's a positive move. If all the owners are like, oh man, this league just got more competitive, that's a good thing. That's what you want. So
but who knows? Keith Carter might be moving Louisiana, so I think I could see him going to the American Arena League next year.
I honestly have no idea about that. I have some questions about him moving the team. I'm not going to lie, but my immediate assumption was that if it was moved, it probably would not be a team anymore. And I really don't want to say that in a negative manner towards Keith. I hope the team still continues to exist. I don't know. That's my gut feeling at the end of the day right now. So we'll see. We shall see. I will say I'm not afraid of competition, unlike others, Ricky says. And my question is, Krish, like, you're saying that Dallas is like this super competitive team without even seeing them play, not knowing who's going to be hired, not knowing what players they're going to sign, but yet Ricky and the other owners were not at all concerned about adding Salina with a Hall of Fame coach and somebody who's
look at Salina, man. I mean, Coach O is doing what Coach O does, loading up the clip for a playoff run. I mean, you know,
that's my point. Like, you're acting like Dallas is this scary, scary thing, but they just added Salina and Southwest Kansas last year, and like both of those teams are perennial playoff teams.
I know, but we saw what Beaumont did. We saw how Beaumont came in the league. Dietrich went out and bought all the best players in the league, and then they just ran through the NAL. So who says they won't do it again? And I already know guys who would play, like JD. You know, JD from Beaumont, like he's boys with Dietrich, so he'll go wherever Dietrich goes. You know, he's doing business partners with him too. So
it'd be interesting to see for sure. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on. Obviously, one of the big pieces of information that has been, going around the past couple of weeks is that NAL rosters have locked for the playoffs. So.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
I love that clip. I have to play it every chance I have an excuse. So as Chris just mentioned, all these teams are loading up for the playoff run. This past week, rosters locked. If I remember correctly, it was at 9 p.m. Thursday night, based on what we had been told. So with that, we saw virtually every team make some moves, and some of them have been rather large. Have been some moves that I think are worth spending a little bit of time on. So one of the things that Krish pointed out that I thought was really cool in hindsight was the fact that Colorado has signed Gabriel Amagacher. I hope I pronounced his last name correctly.
Correct.
I did? Sweet. Awesome. All right, cool. So for anybody who doesn't know, Gabriel was on the show at one point. Also, co-hosting that show was Coach Brandon Negron, who is now in Colorado. So kind of interesting how that all came together. Krish was the one to point that out. But there's also been a ton of other moves that have really kind of changed things up heading into the playoffs. Southwest Kansas made a pair of moves. They brought in Dwayne Thompson II and Dylan Burkhardt. They made a move at kicker again. Brought in veteran Dylan Burkhardt, who's been with the team for many, many years prior to this. Salina added wide receiver Gurney Sloan and defensive lineman Justin Foster. Louisiana Ruggiero added Chauncey Loman, who previously an AAL2 quarterback. He played for the Ohio Legends. And Jay Kennedy, a defensive lineman who's been kicking around for a while. Salina also got back Rico Moore from IR. Colorado, I already mentioned them. And then another big move, Omaha added Arthur Anderson, a wide receiver who had previously been with Billings. And was he with Corpus Christi as well? 2025? That's what I thought. And then also one more move here. Keyshawn Cobb, a defensive back, signed by Omaha as well. So, Krish, I know a couple of these moves you're very, very hip on. Why don't you give us your thoughts, and then we'll run around the room real quick.
Yeah, Keyshawn Cobb, defensive back out of Nevada. He spent time in camp with the Vegas Nighthawks. Coach D was high on him. I think he is a great move for Omaha. I think he's going to, go out there and make some plays. So that's good. Arthur Anderson, he adds some depth in the receiver room. They kind of needed that third receiver. So they found one, with Cam Alves going to Albany. He adds that consistent slot receiver they've been looking for. So you have him, Dudley, and Devanir Concliffe. So Louisiana, Jay Kennedy. I'm surprised he signed there if he even shows up. He has a history of ghosting teams. Chauncey Loman from Southern Methodist University. He's kind of an older guy. He said he played for Ohio, so at least he has some experience. Hopefully he doesn't get killed tonight, but he will against Omaha, unfortunately. Then Omaha also added Rondell back. They signed Rock, so big move for them. They signed Cordell Comoose back. I'm not a fan of this move. This dude retired mid-season. He put out this long message, I'm gonna be a family man, all this stuff when times are tough, and so now he wants to come back. I mean, this drives me nuts about this generation of athletes. When you commit to something, leave. Jump off the shit. Don't jump back on. So this is what we're doing now. So I'm right, TJ. He put out the long thing, retiring, all emotional, family man, all that bullshit, bro. Like, don't try to come back now, But that's allowed, and that's what makes me mad. Why is that allowed? Why is he allowed back? He shouldn't be allowed back. But, apparently there's a ton of players who don't play who are on Omaha sideline every game. So I don't understand how that's allowed. But that's a thing to look forward to during playoff time, too. That becomes a factor. Those outside distractions. But let's see what else you said. Colorado. Oh, Tobias Taylor.
Oh, my fault. You're right. Tobias Taylor also has signed with Colorado.
Man, like that, crazy. I think that he's gonna make them so much better in the running game. I love Alexis Rosario. I think he's super talented. But now you have some size, and some weight in that running back room. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. That's a good move for them, man. And defensively, they added some pieces. Obviously, you said, they added Gabe at DB. They signed another DB too this week. I'm blanking the name right now, but he's a talented player. And then the one move, okay, Southwest Kansas, Dylan Burkhart comes back. He's another one. He retired, now he wants to come back. They had this whole retirement ceremony where they played a video on that was the most overly dramatic retirement ceremony I've ever seen in my life, by the way. But they played the video on the thing. Coach Thomas is crying. Everyone's crying. So now he just comes back. And that kid, that young kicker, he was playing good too. So I feel for him. But and then Dwayne Thompson, DB out of Indiana State. I like him, man. He can be a playmaker. He spent time with Edmonton Elks. He had 27 tackles in 8 games. So he actually played. In the CFL, and so anytime you can get a guy with CFL experience, it's a big deal. It really is. So,
agreed. Lots of thoughts from Krish there, as always. I find it only slightly comical that you literally share a generation with most of the athletes that you're talking about. Unlike the rest of us on this panel who are typically 10 years older than most.
I'm not around though. Like it's a legit point, I wear the jersey, I got the Deion Sanders on, man. I gotta rep the real, So.
Oh God, here we go. Now Krish has another nickname. We're gonna have to start calling him Prime Time on the show, and it's gonna be Prime, and it's gonna get shortened. Ah, man.
I mean,
here we go.
What can you say about people like? And to Krish's credit, like, the generation is kind of soft. I mean, when Omaha loses 5 or 6 games and you jump off that bandwagon, I mean, it's kind of soft.
No, actually, on this point, I 100% in agreement. And
people are going to go where the bag is. They're going to try and weasel their way out of stuff, retire, sign where they want to go. It's just kind of the loopholes that some of these players have.
That's fair. I will say Omaha's in a unique situation because they have a lot of local players around, and Cole Moose is one of those guys. Obviously, that's how he's able to retire and then come back like that. But maybe there was some truth to what he said in his retirement situation, and then he looked at it and he's like, "Hey, I can come back. It's a short run. It might only be 2-3 games, but at that point, I can finish out the season and help them finish what we started, and then walk out into retirement." On better terms, not as an 0-5 team or whatever it may have been. No.
But honestly, and look, I'm not trying to come at Cordell. I met him in Omaha. Great guy, slightly quiet, and he definitely, he believes he's one of the best. But I'll leave it at that. But I think my thing is, how would you feel if you were Chris Perry, if you were Junebug, if you were all these guys who are grinding through the mud? And you see this guy pop back up. I don't know. I don't like it. That's my opinion, though. And I like this comment too. Former staff member is crazy.
Yeah. We won't speculate on who that might be. TJ, what are your thoughts on some of these moves? I know we covered a lot. Who are your players that really stick out to you?
Obviously, I like bringing in Cobb and Anderson in Omaha, adding some depth and help to both the secondary and wide receiving cores is awesome. Colorado, that's a sneaky good pickup, getting Tobias Taylor. He's going to be the bruiser. He can give some extra yards. I think that's going to be big for Colorado going into the playoffs.
Agreed. I love this. Damon Street's mother is checking in. Just so you're aware, you can catch the interview about the hour and a half mark. Seems to be a great young man that you raised. Kudos to you. Seems to be a very respectful guy, and we're very excited to have him on this morning. Cody, any thoughts on those moves for you?
None. Yeah, I'll give a little bit. I really like the sign in of Journey Sloan to Salina. It's going to help out the wide receiving room. Omaha getting Keyshawn Cobb, who started and played a couple of games for Vegas throughout this season so far in the Indoor Football League. That's a nice pickup. Isaiah Blackman getting signed by Sioux City to help out that defensive line. I think he's a former Sioux Falls Storm. I don't know where else he's kind of been throughout the last couple of years.
Salina, he's played.
Yeah. Gabe Amigatcher to Colorado is obviously a big pickup. Going further down, you see Katron Allen's got returned from IR for Pueblo, so that can help out their secondary as well. So there are some signings that you're seeing throughout the league that are just kind of bolstering their rosters, getting ready for this playoff push. And we got a final week of the season that you still have to determine seeding, who's going where, who's hosting the games, who gets that second bye week, and everything like that. So we're primed for this playoff push.
Oh, and I also, before we bring our boy on, I also heard that Kyle Lester might slide back for the playoffs for Pueblo. So, if he slides, that would be a good move for them. And then,
how's that possible? Wasn't he released?
So Kyle Lester signed with the International Arena League. They went on bye when Pueblo played Colorado. So Pueblo re-signed him and then released him so he could go back to International Arena League.
Yeah, which all that's great, but roster's locked on Thursday, so how could they possibly sign him?
I believe, to the online, from what I understand. So,
gotcha. I see. All right, well, we're going to add on a very special guest. How's it going, Ricky?
Hey, guys, it's a little hard to hear here real quick, but hey, Reggie, you there, Reggie?
I'm right here.
Hey, Reggie, so how do you feel about Karel Kolmoose coming back and playing for the Omaha Beef? Do you think we would have signed a player back that the rest of the team or the coaching staff would have had a problem with? No. So how do you feel? You think CP's name's been called out here? How do you think people like CP who've been there from day one? Or maybe, just maybe, players don't get the whole fucking story from certain people's in charge of stuff, and so they decide to leave. And when said person is gone, maybe the issue to begin with, I mean, CJ, it's a really fucking noble concept there, you know what I mean? That maybe people aren't getting the whole story. They get frustrated that, hey, they're getting lied to, they're not being told the whole story or whatever, and so they decide to do what's in their best interest. Now, when said problem is gone, well then, hey, maybe that's an opportunity for somebody to come back. But if Krish, who knows everything like he says he does, you think Krish would reach out to said people, hey, Reggie, did you get anything from Krish at all about, hey, what's going on in Omaha and why we're signing people back?
No, sir.
I doubt anybody in the rest of the team did as well. I mean, I sure as hell did, you know what I mean? So, oh, hey, guys, what's going on with the show? Hi, gentlemen. How you guys doing today?
All right. Well, since we're throwing it out there, I have heard, not from Ricky.
I'm giving you guys a hard time, guys.
No, you're good. Honestly, I hadn't really wanted to comment on it, if we're being 100% honest, but I had heard that there were some promises that were made that were not fulfilled by Coach Negron. I don't want to call him out, but obviously we all know who we're talking about here.
Yeah, like I said, hey, I got nothing but respect for Coach Negron. I mean, it just, look, I'm just going to say at the end of the day, look, I mean, it's, I mean, everybody can have their opinion. I'll just say, like with Krish, I'm sure if an Orlando Pirate retired and then wanted to come back and everything else, Krish would have a completely different stance. You know what I mean? So, I mean, hey, like I said, it's people can operate and do stuff their way. I mean, hell, if I listen to everything that happens on the show, we'd be at 0-9 today probably, because heck, we get everybody picking against us every single week by certain individuals. But hey, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, so.
Fair point. We had a lot of comments rolling in all of a sudden. So, I take it you guys are traveling to the game.
Yeah, we're actually going to pick up breakfast for the guys right now. I was actually driving and had to go ahead and pull on over and let CJ take the reins. That way I didn't get in an accident driving on the interstate and stuff like that. So now we're going to take care of the guys. And, hey, excited about, the last week of the regular season, then rolling into the playoffs, because once that happens, all bets are off. So it should be an exciting time for fans. And then, look, and hey, we're just going to kind of get going from there. But I know the NAL's excited about. We've got more big announcements coming up for the 2027 season that, again, I think they're really excited about.
Agreed. And I'm glad you mentioned CJ. Some of us on this panel here had zero doubt that the Omaha Beef were going to be in the playoffs. Just saying. Didn't know what the record was going to be, but I have maintained you guys are going to be in the playoffs. There was no way they were going to be.
I think if you look at the points per game, I'm just going to shut up. Never mind. I'm not going to say stuff, But
oh, we won't talk about the offensive improvement for future head coach CJ Kane / designated driver currently.
Yeah, and I remember, like I remember certain comments being made by a certain individual. Why make moves, this and that, and everything else. Look, the season's not over till the season's over. There's this large sporting event called the Kentucky Derby. You guys might have heard about it, with a certain horse that was in last place when the race started, but at the end of the day, he crossed the finish line first. I think anybody that's got any kind of competitive spirit, any kind of competitive bone in their body, whatever, is never going to mail it in or go through the motions. I mean, what about teams that are eliminated from the playoffs and everything else? So you just close up shop, you continue to not make moves to better the organization, not only for the 2026 season, but the 2027 season. So, no, I mean, hey, we'll just kind of continue to do what we do, and we'll see where the chips fall from there, guys.
Krish, Off the Wall has asked for your response, sir.
No, those are all, fair points, and I'm going to stick by my opinion. I don't switch up, so.
Look, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I'll never fault somebody for their opinion. I'm entitled to mine. I'm not always right or whatever like that, but I would say that is this a show based upon opinions or maybe some journalism that goes in? Maybe it's a combination of both, but if somebody has an opinion on how a certain team is doing or certain players coming back, I'd like to think the journalistic side would kick on in and say, well, let me ask some questions. Why is this guy coming back after he retired and everything else? Because, like I said, there's probably some underlying facts about what happened. And, hey, by the way, Sam, you hit the nail on those.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like I said, there's a little bit of bias. Didn't want to necessarily throw Coach Negron under the bus, but we had heard the rumors for sure. Mike Davis asks,
like I
real
said,
question
I
is,
don't think I think if you ask Coach Negron, since I'll say him by name, if he said, hey, if he had a roster and an opportunity to add somebody like Karel Kolmoose onto his roster, would he do it? And I think the answer to that would be yes every single time. You don't go, I mean, you look at all of our podcasts and all of our shows that everybody's talked about somebody such as Karel for the years, not only for the years, but even leading up to the season. Even, heck, Tommy Armstrong was on our podcast, would say the exact same thing as well. So maybe there's reasons why people leave that are unknown at the time or whatever. But in this instance with Karel, just learning information, I think it was justified. And whenever Karel felt like there might be an opportunity to come on back and maybe finish out the season on his terms and how he wanted, that's why Karel signed and active and playing in the game for us today. So.
Gotcha. Mike Davis asks, the real question is, what are you guys going to pick up for breakfast, and how far away is it that you had to pull over and have CJ subscribe?
I'd say I slammed on the brakes pretty hard and turned to the right. Would that be a pretty good, I pulled on the side of the road, even the passengers say yes. So for breakfast for the guys, they're getting, eggs, bacon, pancakes, hash browns, toast, and sausage. So we're going to pick that up for the guys and drop it off to them so they can eat, rest a little bit before we're getting ready for game day.
Off the Wall says, Ricky, to make amends, Krish will cover breakfast for the team. Send him the Venmo.
Nah, we're good. I'll just wait for Krish to, on his some of his bets that he's made or stuff like that. I'll let him work on fulfilling those first. So I appreciate it, though.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining us, Ricky. We appreciate it. And best of luck tonight. Hopefully you guys get the win. All right. Well, in case you guys wondered why you watch this show.
No, I'm responding to that. Number one. I wasn't gonna
Lord, here we go.
There goes my favorite owner. Boom.
No, look, he has a point, right? Obviously, maybe I should have reached out and seen what was up. I mean, I think anyone in my shoes would have speculated what I speculated, right? So I don't apologize for that. But the point is, he made a comment about Orlando. If we would welcome back a retired player. We had a player retire and try to come back in 22, and he was not allowed to come back. So, yeah, there's stuff that stayed internal or whatever. I'm just being honest, Coach. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, I mean, you beat two tough teams, right? And now you play two semi-pro teams. You play a semi-pro team tonight. So it's just a reality. Let's get to the playoffs, and let's see. I mean, the offense had definitely improved. CJ had done a great job. Proof is in the pudding, but we'll see.
If it was Massachusetts going up a legitimate semi-pro team, you'd be calling it the matchup of the century and everything else. But because it's another team, you got to trash talk it.
I'm not trash talking. I'm just saying Louisiana is a semi-pro team.
Thank you. I knew there was a player. I was trying to rack my brain. I knew there was a Massachusetts Pirates player that had retired and come back.
I don't remember Marty ever retiring. I know Marty tore his ACL and said, "I'm gonna come back." He wasn't sure, and then he decided to come back. I don't ever remember him retiring. I will say T.O. did retire last year. We did a whole video for it and everything.
There we go.
He moved
Thank
to Florida.
you.
He lived in Florida. So that's kind of
He retired from Massachusetts, not Orlando.
exactly that's the point.
Well, I do hear, the aging vets, they do typically retire to Florida, nicer weather out there and all that stuff. So
I'm not trying to, bro. Come on, man. Like spell his name right, man. Like show some level of respect. I'm not even
All people you're talking about that. Oh boy.
No. Honestly, Sean runs almost $1 million company here. He has a nutrition store. He drives a Lambo around town. My boy doing well for himself. So.
What does that have to do with him retiring and coming back?
I'm just saying, man. Sean is one of those people. When he closed the door, he was done. He retired. He never tried to retire and come back. That's not him. Bro,
it's a little odd that Coach Davis is mentioning him when we're mentioning players that are retiring and coming back. But
money with crypto, he doesn't need ball no more.
Nutrition spot is no longer there. FYI.
I know because someone broke into it, but we don't need to get past that.
Dear Lord. We went way off track in this conversation, man.
My point is, look, I want to make it clear, like I don't want to shit on anyone. Like I'm not trying to attack people or whatever. I have my opinions and they're strong. That's it. Like,
I'm a football coach, not an English major. CTE,
yeah.
Just kidding. All right, so let's get to these NAL picks.
All the time Coach D got his ankle broken by Michael Vick in practice, man. He ain't never been the same since then. So I want to see footage of Coach D playing football. Like this is what I've been looking for. I went through the internet. I've tried to find it. I haven't seen any footage of him playing in a game. This is what I want to see.
Man, how you gonna date him like that? That's not very nice.
I'm saying, man, like if any of you can find it, I would love to see it because I want to see if he would really like that.
I mean,
my GM, my owner, my GM has won a championship at every level, high school, college, and pro. So
here we go. It's always about the Pirates one way or another. Right?
Quick question. I refresh my memory from the beginning of the season. Is the owner the fearless leader or the captain? I forgot.
Fearless leader.
Okay, gotcha.
Krish, how much money do you spend on edible arrangements as apology gifts after shows?
That was a good joke. For the record, I would like an edible arrangement sent to me as an apology for all the apologies that I have to apologize on your behalf. Okay, so I'm just saying that would be nice. I love edible arrangements. Man, there are so many comments rolling in right now. It's crazy. You can no longer play VHS tapes. Oh, Lord, this is hilarious. All right, so let's get to these NAL picks. Obviously, we got 3 great games going on tonight, or 4 great games, sorry about that, going on tonight. And some of them are likely going to be fairly easy to make the predictions on. But the game of the weekend, in my personal opinion, is most likely the Salina and Colorado game, which has still a lot of playoff seeding implications on the line. And little shout out to the aforementioned Coach Negron. We will most likely be at the game tonight. So on that note, we will discuss Colorado.
Now you have to see someone that you called out publicly in person And so now you know how that will feel. That's going to be great.
I didn't call him out.
Okay.
I spoke on a situation I was informed of. Sorry, man. I'm a member of media. Anyway,
When you go missing tonight, keep that same energy.
Go missing tonight? What do you think this is, dude? Like, I'm not gonna walk up and be like, "Hey, coach, how about your lies? Please give me a comment." Like, come on, man. I understand. Yes, I somewhat called him out.
Coach, really quick, why does your team suck so bad?
Yeah, exactly. Why did you lose last week against Omaha? Anyway, back to the game picks. Salina versus Colorado, Amarillo versus Pueblo, Omaha versus Louisiana, and Southwest Kansas versus Sioux City. Very tough decision on which game I was going to go to tonight, but I'm hoping to get an opportunity to meet Coach Negron in person, as well as Coach Haran O'Neill, who I have not yet met in person, but we've had on literally every year that I've been doing indoor football coverage. So would love to meet him. But with that being said, Krish, what are your picks for this week?
This is such a hard game to pick. It's going to come down to who wants it more. Coach O is looking at this opportunity to develop Tyree Adams, more into his system and the indoor style of play. Obviously, Tyree was with them before, but now it's a new year. But anyway, oh
All right, focus, Krish. Focus. Carolina versus Colorado.
You got to appreciate how honest he is, though. You just got to appreciate it. Colorado versus Salina. Man, I don't know. I really don't know. I need to make a pick, though.
Okay, tell you what.
Colorado.
You think on that.
I'll get Colorado. Give me Colorado. Pueblo over Amarillo. Omaha by like 30. I haven't heard from Keith Carter all week. He's been real quiet. That he spent all his money on Cameo, so he had no money left for the team, and so it's gonna be fun. I'm just being honest, man. Hey, it's his fault. By the way, I don't put any of this on Michael Blair. Someone said to me, "Oh, are you gonna shit on Blair this week?" I said no, because literally it's not his fault. It's on Keith Carter. It's all his fault. Not all his fault. It's I'll say 50-50, but still, he put Michael Blair in the position to be the head coach when he knew he wasn't ready, and he set him up for failure. I haven't heard from Steve Walters. He's gone missing too. It's all bad in Louisiana. Give me Omaha by 30. Southwest Sioux City is winning this. And I'm going to tell you why. I think Coach Thomas is going to play this easy because he doesn't want to get anyone hurt, Coach Thomas needs to be careful because I could see someone like Sutton tearing his ACL or something. He needs to be careful. I don't wish that.
Say that.
Not anyone, but I'm just saying.
That is just jinxing the poor man.
Thomas has been so good all year, not overthinking anything. Bro, Coach Thomas from last year to this year has grown so much as a pro coach. The way he makes adjustments, man, he's on some new zen or whatever because it's hitting different this year. But so he can't get back to his old ways. He just has to stay within the game. Don't overthink.
All righty then.
But D-Wash is also 108 yards away from 700 yards in 10 games, which is kind of crazy. So I think D-Wash wants his 700.
I'm sure he does. He did not. I was told he didn't want to come off the field last week, which does not surprise me at all.
Don't eat that bagel. It's mine, okay?
But let's move on to TJ. TJ, I know you got to get out of here pretty quick, so you got 3 minutes, man. Rapid fire those picks.
Hey, man, I'm just giving you a heads up, Sam. This is how it starts with Krish. Next week, he's going to be rocking Southwest Kansas gear now. This is how the bandwagon fandom goes. I'm just letting you know.
He's already got the jersey prepared.
Is he going to hang the banner at the airport, too?
Maybe. Southwest Kansas Storm banner in Massachusetts will look a little odd, though. I'm just saying.
That's the only way they're hanging a banner anytime soon. So what? For the NAL picks, I'm going to go with they both have something to play for, so I got to go with Salina just because they want that higher seed pick. I'm going to go Pueblo over Amarillo. Amarillo, I mean, let's face it, they're kind of just waiting for the season to get over with at this point. Same thing with Louisiana, so I'm going to pick Omaha. And then Southwest Kansas and Sioux City. Man, personally, for me, this may be the low-key game to watch. But, you got to go for perfection, so I'm going to go with the Storm.
Sweet. Well, thank you for joining us, TJ. I know this one kind of turned into a long show, which was not necessarily intentional again, but I appreciate you sticking around for 3 hours, and we'll catch you next week, man.
Absolutely. You guys too. And everybody enjoy the games. A lot of playoff implications.
Definitely. And like I said, stay tuned for a lot more content to come from the IFL Cup games. From TJ, thank you for all that as well, buddy. All right. On that note, we will continue. Cody, what are your picks with the NAL?
All right. So maybe Ricky's still in the comments or something. If you can elaborate on what the tiebreakers are for the playoffs for this, because we've been kind of at a loss. So, Ricky, if you are out there, can you just kind of like bullet point what each emphasis is for the playoffs? Head-to-head, strength of schedule, whatever it could be. Because the very first game, Salina needs this win to get that first round bye along with Southwest Kansas. If Salina loses this game and Pueblo wins their game against Amarillo, Pueblo will take that number 2 spot because they're both 6-3. Both those win. Salina gets the tiebreaker, to my knowledge, because I believe Salina has the head-to-head over Pueblo. They met once this season with Salina getting the victory. So, a lot to play for. On the flip side, Colorado needs this win because they need to stay. If they lose this game and Omaha wins, I think that drops Colorado to the 6th seed. Could be mistaken. I'm just glancing at the standings. So, a lot to play for in this game. Give me Colorado in kind of an upset here. Salina might be a little over-aggressive. Colorado has a lot to play for, also not a lot to play for at the same time. There's an opportunity where Colorado, Sioux City, and I believe Omaha can all finish 5-5 and have like a 3-way tie, and we need to figure out the tiebreakers. Thank you, Ricky. Yeah, we'll have to figure all that stuff out. Pueblo over Amarillo. Like I said, Amarillo's out of the playoff race. Pueblo still has a lot to play for. They're going to go and just, belt ass on that one. Louisiana, Omaha, same thing. Omaha still has a lot to play for. Louisiana out of the playoff race. And then finally, Southwest Kansas and Sioux City. As a newly formed and reformed Southwest Kansas fan, I want them to have perfection. I also think I said this last week. If they lose a game, it can teach them a little bit. Not to say it's bad or anything like that. Sioux City, again, has a lot to play for. They are at home for their final game. They want to try and get a home playoff game depending on how the tiebreakers all work out, which I'll probably have to figure that out as the games progress tonight and go from there. I'm picking Southwest Kansas. I am not surprised one bit if Sioux City gets the victory, but give me the Storm. They chase perfection. They go into the playoffs undefeated, first round bye. They are the talk of the town. That's where I have it.
All right. So I talked to Coach Thomas earlier this week. Talk to him every week, to be completely honest. Probably one of the coaches on
day, bro. Like, come on.
What?
I said you talk to him like every day.
Yeah, I do talk to him every day. Anyway, moving on. I want to throw out there that he said while he is not scared to lose the game because obviously 9-1, 10-0 really doesn't change much for them. He's concerned that if he took his foot off the gas and coasted and then lost that game, it might not be good for the momentum heading into the playoffs. So I don't necessarily think he's going to go into this game actively, trying to lose or being overly vanilla. Now, is he going to protect players? Probably, or try to protect players? Yes. But at the end of the day, I do ultimately think that they will try and win the game, and it's going to be a good game. It would not shock me at all if Sioux City won that game at all. We'll see how things go. As far as Colorado and Salina, I've got Colorado winning that game because I think they've got a lot on the line. It's a lot different to go from the 5 seed to the 6 seed. I think you really want to try to avoid playing the top 2 teams in the league if you can. So I think Colorado kind of needs that win. Salina is going to give them everything they can handle, of course, but I think Colorado is going to be desperate heading into this game, for lack of a better term. As far as the Louisiana game in Omaha. I've obviously got Omaha in that one. I think obviously the game doesn't mean much to Louisiana. Their season's over, win, lose, or draw. So Omaha obviously needs that win to help them move up in the playoff seeding and potentially force that tie that Cody spoke about.
You know how sad it is that Monroe was able to put together a better roster than Louisiana has all season, and Monroe had put together a roster within a week and a half. That's kind of crazy.
You're not wrong.
That's embarrassing. Okay.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. I mean, when it comes to that, but at the same time, I was trying to tell you guys the whole time, like, connections matter in this world, right? So hiring James Shiver for the Monroe Greenheads was incredibly crucial to where they're at right now. You know, he already had a prepared team from 2 seasons ago that he built. So a lot of those guys have now ended up going to move on to play with other teams. So, or with the Monroe Greenheads right now. So I think that was a huge move for them. But Brian, I want you to elaborate on this question. Does SWK move up next year? Do you mean like to another league? Like, what exactly do you mean move up? If you mean another league, that is very, very unlikely to happen from everything I've been told. They seem to be overall very, very happy with
the theory that Colorado and Pueblo are going to AF1 next year. But that's me. Like, I've thought about that, and I think that. But that's just my opinion. I'm not saying it'll happen. I just have that thought. So.
Well, I would hope Colorado and Pueblo stay in the same league no matter what they do. So we'll see. But I have not heard anything about that at all.
And then I heard this from a source, and I've heard this from 2, that Arkansas and Ozarks might move to AF1. So that's a thought out there.
Maybe. But on that note, let's go ahead and transition over to AF1. We're going to hit a quick commercial break. Just so everybody's clear, from everything I've heard, Southwest Kansas is not moving, and I would venture a guess that there will never be a situation where they play in a league that the Salina Liberty do not play in, just based on logistics alone. So if Salina moved, maybe it was a consideration, but I don't see those 2 teams separating at any point. And with that being said, I think they both ultimately see the value in staying in the NAL. Why do you move? What do you gain? Like that's the question I always ask everybody. Will, when they ask, will this team move here? Will this team move here? What are they going to gain? And what would you gain from Southwest Kansas if you move back to the AF1? You just left last year. It's not like you're, getting a sweeter deal or anything. So I don't really see the logic there, and I don't think that they would either. So
you and Coach Thomas are going to get paid this offseason. I'll just say that. But
How many times a week?
Like three or four times, maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
I'm gonna have a graphic to share in a minute here on the Shady Sports Network pages. So keep an eye out for that after the show. It's quite funny, and I think everybody will get a good kick out of it. Going for 5 in a row. Don't count us out. We're coming. Actually, I was going to say earlier, and I won't spend a lot of time on it, but I think Krish is kind of underselling some of the teams that Omaha has beat. But we're not going to circle back to the NAL. We're going to move forward to the AF1, talk about some of the news in the league. So obviously, one of the things we briefly kind of glossed over with the NAL section is the fact that, Dietrich Wise has now moved on from the Beaumont Renegades. And they are now, as far as I know, primarily owned by Rodney Robichaud, who has been there since day one. With that in mind, the question now becomes, do we see Beaumont having any sort of struggles moving forward now that they've kind of parted ways and they're no longer working together? And then on top of that, I mean, with the recent concerns that we had, rumors about Oceanside, rumors about Oregon, all of these things. If the league has to step in and suddenly they're helping not one, not two, but three teams, like how does that affect the league as a whole? And are the other owners going to be okay with that situation potentially unfolding if that's what happens? Now, I'm not saying it is what will happen. It's just rumors that have been going around as of late, and a lot of it seems to be based in some sort of fact at the underlying heart of it. So I wanted to ask both of you guys, do you guys think that we see any sort of issues going forward with Beaumont, or do you think we're far enough along to the point where they should be able to weather the storm throughout the end of the season? Let's go to Cody first on this one.
I think they can weather the storm. There's how many weeks left? 4 or 5, something like that. I don't necessarily think it's going to be too much of an issue. What you're going to run into, and this has been an issue with plenty of other leagues in the past, is as soon as a league starts taking over a team, and I know some of this is alleged, but as soon as a league starts taking over a team, you just kind of know that the writing's on the wall. And if there is up to 3 teams that the AF1 is propping up, that is going to spell doom and gloom. Because you have 8 teams in the league right now, 9 teams, something like that, and you're going to lose almost half of your teams, half of your fan base. And I know some of those might be further on the West Coast, so you might be able to regionalize, and that's one thing. But I'm not necessarily certain about the AF1's future. Not to do like a hot take or be like this league's going under, but like you've had to bring in so many expansion teams or Minnesota or things like that just in the last year. And now you're going to lose more teams. You're trying to find newer and newer teams. Where do you find them? Because we've already seen like the IFL get 4 teams. We've already seen Dallas announce. I think now is the time. If you're the AF1, you need to get going when it comes to that, unless you plan on poaching other teams.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And Brian, I think you may have misheard something. As of right now, we have not heard anything concrete about AF1 expansion. The 2 parties split. So Dietrich Wise is now going to the NAL as the Dallas Apex and was previously involved with the Beaumont Renegades. So, Krish, what are your thoughts on the split in the ownership for the Renegades and how it will affect the Renegades moving forward?
Yeah, obviously Beaumont's paying players. I heard the lowest paid player on the team makes $750 is what I heard. So they're paying players. The Malik McDowell was traded to Nashville. So that's part of them cutting salary, in my opinion. Malik McDowell, 2nd round pick, Michigan State legend, played for Duke City. I know how much he was getting paid with Duke City too. Duke City used to really pay players. It's crazy. Yeah, man, I just think Beaumont's going to have to, if they're going to go up to Albany and they're going to lose. And Rodney is going to have to sit there and realize we're 2-6 at this point, right? If we make the playoffs, we'll make it as a 5 seed, 6 seed. So we need to start cutting salary in certain areas. And that's why their game day presentation is awful, because they're spending all the money on the team and they don't spend any money on the business side. It's horrible. So you can't cut corners, man. I hate when owners do that. It's like just go all in or all out. Like there's no in between,
It's fair. It's fair for sure. All right. Well, now that we got that kind of discussion out of the way,
Minnesota. Well, what about the drama up there?
What's up?
Minnesota drama. Tony coming in.
Yeah, I mean, let's go ahead and transition over to that. So basically, it seems like slowly but surely, Tony O'Neill is making his way back up through the organization. It does seem as if there's some momentum for, maybe a potential switch at head coach down the line. No, obviously, Minnesota, as of yet, has not really hit their stride so far this season. Krish actually went as far as saying that, potentially maybe Deron Clark could be fired at some point if things continue this way. Are we trending towards a situation where eventually we do see a change back to, Tony O'Neill there in Minnesota? Cody, what are your thoughts?
Definitely a possibility. I mean, we had that speculation a month or 2 ago, give or take, of like what's going on here, because he had his profile picture as Minnesota, and I think he even commented or things like that. And then lo and behold, like he's back with them. So it would not shock me one bit if he is working his way up through that chain of command and getting back to what it was.
Krish?
You know, I spoke with Coach Tony this week, right? He's excited for the opportunity to come in and be DC. You know, there are a lot of people on the outside that kind of backdoor LaRoche. You know, I'm surprised LaRoche didn't hit me up asking for money now that he's unemployed, like last time, but we won't talk about that. Yeah, I didn't tell you, he DM'd me trying to ask me for like $50 on Cash App. Money was tight for him, but
I don't think this is necessarily the place to air that, but no, you did not tell me that.
But the point stays the same. Like, Tony's coming in and he's trying to add some, you know, discipline into that defense. That defense is amazing, by the way. They got some ballers. You know, Claude, obviously, you know, Tom Lord on that defense, and Shaquille Holiness. Like, that D-line is something out of a movie. If we were 3 years ago, that would probably be the best D-line in arena football, honestly. But I just think, I don't know, man. I think Tony's trying to add that, and I think Tony will be the head coach. You know, Deron Clark hasn't called me or texted me, so I know my point must have some legitimacy. Because, you know, I mean, normally I get a phone call from him. I haven't, so I must be right? I mean, I don't want to see anyone get fired. Like, let's just make it clear. But there's coaches who deserve to get fired, and there's coaches who come to power too quickly. Coach Speedy wasn't ready to be a head coach, especially with all the money they have in Minnesota. Because he doesn't know, like, certain guys don't know where to allocate resources. You know, if you're paying, like, they signed a receiver. I won't say who. I mean, I don't care. Carlos Thompson. They signed Carlos Thompson. A rumor has it he's making like $1,200. If you're signing a receiver off the street who hasn't played in one of the major leagues in like 3 years for $1,200, that's crazy. Like, you're just throwing money away.
3 years? Wasn't he with Sioux Falls like 2 years ago?
No, 3. 2 or 3. One of the
A couple of years ago, he was with San Diego.
But he left. He left mid-season with Sioux Falls. So my point is that my point remains the same. They're paying Javonte, the quarterback, over $2,500. They're just spending money to lose. It just doesn't make sense. When did you ever think you were a big Javonte Johnson fan? You used to think he was Steve McNair when you were covering him in the AWFC, right? My point is when did you ever think he would be making over $2,500 a game? When? Never. Right?
Never.
Crazy.
I would have never compared him to Steve McNair, just so we're all clear, all right? Just so we're all clear. Steve McNair, not to get off on a tangent, but that man is criminally underrated with what he accomplished in Tennessee. Criminally underrated, but that's a story for another day. But anyway.
I'm waiting for a Coach Davis comment, but I'm glad we haven't had one.
I think it's funny how Chris just like 5 minutes ago says, hey, go all out or don't go all out at all. And then why are they spending money?
Well, I think his point is spend it in the right directions and make sure you're getting results. Like, you know, if you're going to spend that kind of money, you're spending literally $10,000 a month on a quarterback.
Well, here's my thing. I get where he's coming from with that. But if you spend the money, that does not mean you're guaranteed to win. How many NFL teams or NBA teams or even IFL teams spend a bunch of money and they still lose? I mean, for God's sakes, look at the New York Mets. They're one of the highest spending teams, and they've got, I think, a losing record. So I get where he's coming from. I do. But at the same time, it's like if you are going to go all out, regardless if you're smart or not, sometimes things just don't align.
You would think Krish would know that by now, but...
Well, it's not a pot shot at him. I was just making a joke on that first part. But to his credit, yeah, if you go all out, that does not guarantee you wins regardless.
Yeah, 100%. Otherwise, the Pirates would have 5 championships straight now. But.
Yeah, bro. Like, in the thing that different teams, okay, and I heard that comment. Like, you got to stop talking about my team, man. Like, worry about
okay. It's okay for you to talk about everybody else's team, but the second we come at you.
Hey, don't let me pull up that Southwest Kansas payroll. Anyway, so, and I have some suspicions about Omaha too, but anyway. I don't want to get yelled at twice today. So I'm on one today, man. So what was I gonna say? My point is that you know certain teams have different resources in different ways. So like Vegas, for example, right? They might, apparently they don't pay players, right? But it's not like Coach Davis is out in the middle of nowhere, running a homeless shelter. Like he has all the resources. He's in Vegas. Of course, players would take less money to come to Las Vegas and play for a CFL D-line coach. Of course, right? That's what it is. Arizona, yeah, they spend money, but they don't have to spend as much as others. So it's like what the attraction of the area is, So Minnesota, who wants to go to Duluth, Minnesota? Like, I bet you didn't even know what that was till they announced the team there. So, yeah, that's the reality.
Yeah, Duluth, Minnesota, never heard of her.
Never. Like,
just kidding, guys.
So you can't fault the Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs in Division II football, baby.
I see this.
Oh, Lord.
Tyrese Chambers. Man, I love Coach Ware. Like, that's my guy. Coach Ware needs to understand only 3 receivers can play on the field at one time. You don't need to sign all these receivers. And so what happens is he gets so excited. He's like a kid in a candy store. He gets so excited and he wants to sign all these receivers when only 3 can play on the field. Like, and then he just ends up cutting them. Waste of time.
That is that seems to be a thing in Albany. They seem to oversign in certain positions and just they let it work it out. But
yeah, boy, bro, you gotta chill. I'm telling you.
Let's go ahead and move on to our picks for the week. There's some pretty impressive, or not impressive, but interesting games this week. Like you mentioned, Beaumont and Albany. Can Beaumont compete? Does Albany just roll right over them? Washington and Oregon for, I think, if my math is correct, if you count the Black Bears in 2024, I believe this is the 9th time these two markets have played each other. Sorry, not Beaumont, Albany. That's next week. Albany and Oceanside. Kentucky at Minnesota, which I think could be a really good game. So let's go ahead and, Krish, give your picks, my friend.
So I'll start with Oceanside game. Bro, Ware's off the wall. Like, I love how he disappears when times get tough. He was hyping up Rudy Johnson, Rudy. Like, just because he's a nice guy doesn't mean he can throw, he can't throw over 10 yards consistently. So Rudy is getting killed. He threw 4 interceptions last week. He's going to get murdered by Albany. Give me Albany by like 30. I really want to shout out my boy Javon Tucker. Javon Tucker played for us last year. He was hurt all season. He leads the AF1 in receiving yards, 588 yards, and he has 13 touchdowns. He's been balling out this year. So proud of Tuck. He's from his California kid. Gets to play with his brother on the team. Really great. Oceanside is a bunch of local players. So they really don't have much resources, but you got to give them credit. They show them play their hardest, but they're still not good. So give me Albany by 40. Kentucky and Minnesota. If Minnesota can get this win, bro, oh my God. Darren Clark is going to have a parade, bro. It's going to be crazy. If they win this, bro, he's going to be like the greatest coach of all time in Minnesota. They're going to like carry him off the field. It's going to be a whole celebration. Tony's going to be in tears. Like, this is going to be like they won a championship if they beat Kentucky. But they won't beat Kentucky. Give me Kentucky by 15. Yep. And then Washington, Oregon. Oh, yeah. I mean, Oregon is kind of trash. I'm not going to lie. Give me Washington.
Coach Ware, just so you're aware, the link that you were sent the previous time you have joined us is 100% still valid. Not that I want the show to go 4 hours today, but
I'm like, low key though, I'm right. Like, I put him on to a receiver, a Jai Hall, but like, I'm right. Like, why do you need to sign so many receivers? Yeah, that's it. Those are my picks.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure. Are you sure that's it?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot to say this morning. I don't know what
you always have a lot to say, my friend. That's what makes this show so entertaining. Cody, my friend, what about your picks?
So it's crazy is looking at the standings and kind of how things would work out if my picks go the way that they do. Give me Kentucky over Minnesota, and that's going to drop Minnesota down to 3-3. So then we go to the next game. Albany's going to beat Oceanside. That doesn't necessarily have too much bearing on what I'm going to get at here. So Albany gets the victory. Oceanside still only has one win. Albany's still undefeated because it's Albany's league and they run it. And then finally, Washington over Oregon. And when you look at the standings and how it goes, yes, Washington's wins have pretty much been Oregon. Don't get me wrong. But if Washington wins, they're going to move up ahead of Beaumont and be half a game out of the 4th seed in the AF1 standings, which is crazy to think about when you just kind of look at it, because Washington has just kind of been, and I mean this in a bad way, they've kind of been a doormat. But now that they've won some games and they've strung some stuff together, they have an opportunity here to really kind of make a little bit of noise, being almost that 4 seed and kind of knocking on that door. So it's crazy. And yes, they play Oregon 4 times. They play Oceanside like 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. So it's all part of the schedule. But at the same time, your record is what it is, and that's how they made the schedule. So there's not much you can do. It also helps when you look at that game next week, too. Albany playing Beaumont. That's an opportunity for Beaumont to drop another game, which clears Washington by another game, half game, whatever you want, in the standings. So things can start really working out in Washington's favor, which I don't know if you really saw that happening or not to kind of begin the season.
Well, I mean, in terms of Washington versus Oregon, I definitely saw Washington getting better toward the end of the season, but I did not see a situation where they could potentially make the playoffs happen. So good for them. I was sent a graphic, and I was asked to post it during the show. So I think it's quite funny. Here you guys go. So obviously Ricky came on and had some stuff to say a moment ago, and somebody is extremely quick with the AI because here we go. Graphic.
Bro, I honestly know, like, I give Ricky a lot of shit. Like, honestly, I know this sounds like I'm talking out the side of my ass, but like I do honestly respect him, and I respect him coming on. You know, I like that, man. You know, it's open dialogue. You know, feedback is important, and I think sometimes, you know, I say things and they might not be true or whatever, but the point is, like, if we don't talk about it, you know, we won't ever know. So
You're all right. And honestly, we're very, very lucky that we have so many viewers from the leagues, people that are coming on and actually willing to share this information with us. And stuff like that.
I mean, the amount of harassment I put him through that Orlando week, you know, that was difficult, but I just had to do what I had to do. It's my duty, you know. So.
Coach Wells an apology?
Yeah, because you beat a semi-pro team like Oregon.
I mean, look, I've been one of the biggest Coach Wells supporters since day one. I have vehemently defended that man up until this season when they had started in putting resources into that roster, and he continued to lose. So we will definitely give him his credit if he makes the playoffs. However, I don't think
See, Coach Wells wouldn't come back on the show. That's his type. Like, he wouldn't. But I would invite him to come back on.
I would have him on anytime. I love Coach J.R. Wells. He is such an energetic guy that you can't help but be in a good mood when you're around that guy. So, yeah, I definitely would love to have him back on. But anyway, guys, we've been here for over 3 hours. My kid needs some breakfast, all that fun stuff. So on that note, I really appreciate everybody tuning in today. I would ask for final thoughts, but Krish will send us on a 30-minute tangent, so we're not going to do that. What I am going to say is make sure you guys tune in next week. Krish will have us very prepared for next week with a ton of topics. And then also make sure you're checking out In the Alley on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to his channel as well. Thank you, everybody who tuned in this morning. Really appreciate each and every person who watched, commented, joined us live unexpectedly, all of those things. So we really appreciate everybody who makes this great show, or this show as great as it is, because honestly, without each one of you guys watching, without everybody who joins us, it wouldn't be nearly what it is today. So thank you for everybody and everything, and we'll catch you next week.
Hi, everyone. This is TJ from Shady Sports Network. I am excited and proud to be the first one to announce that we as a network are introducing a digital magazine, official one called Shady Sports Magazine. As many of you know, the bread and butter of our network is covering arena and indoor football, and that's exactly what this magazine is going to be about. It is going to be the first ever arena and indoor football central magazine, all the leagues included. You're going to also have a bunch of articles in there about past teams going down memory lane. It's just going to be a one-stop shop for the already diehard fan. It's going to be an easy spot to get all of your info, no matter which league or however many of the leagues you may watch. And for the new fan or the casual fan, it may help you turn into a diehard fan now, because you're going to be able to get all the info super quick and easy, sent directly into your email. We will announce in the upcoming weeks when the inaugural issue is going to be released. And believe me, we will definitely keep you updated on our shows and network as a whole on how to sign up for that list to get it. Email for free every month. Thank you to the fans, and thank you for everyone watching. As always, like, follow, share, subscribe, and most important, enjoy the show and keep watching. Thank you, and see you guys later.